we are back. We are live, Mr. Lopez, live, right here from the very haunted cell that is now our Freaky Friday studio. How you doing, big man?
These After Effects skills, Kev, starting to look really, really good, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that coming from a fellow graphical artiste like yourself.
Yeah, I've got to update all my Adobe stuff, get it up to date to 2020, and yeah, your little haunted cell. It reminds me of something like out of Resident Evil or something like that.
Yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to it, dude. I don't know.
Silent Hill. There we go. Silent Hill is I would say it's more closer to Silent Hill.
Well, it's been Freaky Friday. You know, when I was kind of choosing the image and things to use. I was thinking, what genuinely terrifies me? Like what location is it that would put me into that place where I can't handle anyone's woo? And I think a prison. That's one of the things I'm scared of the most. I've done a week in army jail. That was a week too much for anyone. But a cell, Scott, and typically, right? I mean, your old prisons, your old asylums, these places are like Ooga Booga Central, aren't they? So that's why I opted for the crazy cell, man.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, like just taking the woo, just like woo aside, it's being in a cell, in a prison is not something that you want to really even deal with to begin with. And then you add the sort of, if you add the woo factor on top of it with like haunted prisons and all of the negative energy that ends up being tied to those locations and imprinted in those locations. Yeah, definitely not anything you want to deal with at all.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
Sir?
Would it be the prison for you? What do you think? What's your least? What setting would you least like to be in when there's like ooga boogas going on?
Oh man, that's interesting. It's an interesting. I don't know. So you're talking about a haunted location?
Yeah. Or you're at somewhere. It doesn't even necessarily need to be historically haunted. But it's somewhere that's kind of put you off. You're knocked off your equilibrium anyway, because you're kind of don't like this place, and then it starts tapping.
I would
something,
probably have to say the woods.
Oh yeah, dang, dude.
Being out in the middle of the woods. At least in a prison or something, there's some kind of human reference. You know what I mean? Like, you're in a building. Sometimes, but yeah. I mean, at least you're in a somewhat secure location. But if you're out in the middle of the forest or in the woods, like, just there's no, you can't get your bearings or anything like that, especially in the dark.
Your screams go unheard.
Exactly. Exactly. If a person is being ripped to shreds in the middle of a forest and they're screaming, but no one's there to hear it, did it really happen?
Oh, damn, dude. So if it ever happens to you folks, not to like make you feel bad or anything, there's no real point in shouting, because like Scott says, it's a bit futile, really.
And I mean, what really kind of made me kind of go to that sort of location is probably all of the missing 411 stuff that has happened recently. I probably wouldn't have really thought the woods wouldn't have come to mind initially. I would have probably picked something like a prison or maybe like a old slaughterhouse or something like that.
Oh, an old
Um,
abattoir. Absolutely, man. A scary old ghost of a butcher with a leather apron on and a cleaver. That's terrifying. Not that I've ever thought about that. No, no, never a scenario
I
for
think
one of my
I think
horror
another
books.
good candidate is like rundown barns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But still, I don't think anything comes close to just like being out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm wishing now I'd gone with the woods. I think you're probably right, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's werewolves and
yeah.
everything out there, man. There could be Bigfoot. There could be anything. The unknown unknowns.
Exactly. I mean, portals and
If nobody's out there
sat-
to see you going through a portal, doesn't mean you don't go through it. In fact, more likely you will go through it if nobody's there to see it, right?
yeah,
Dude.
UFOs, all kinds of stuff going on out in the woods. Just
Holy hell, man. We're only, what, 10 minutes into this show and already I've got the goose flesh on. But I hope you're all ready for a Freaky Friday. If this is anything to go by, it's going to be a good one. And what we always do here is we head on over to the Truth Frequency radio chat room and we give all of the good people in there a shout out. We call it the Wookiee roll call. And I'll be heading on over there in just one moment. So you get a chance to go to tfrlive.com/chat. Make your way over there. And Scott, as always, following today's show, it's the man, Brent Thomas, Paranormal Portal.
yes,
Yes, it's that Friday extravaganza, dude.
yeah. We're just the warm up crew, man. You
The
know,
fluffers.
the fluffers.
We're the fluffers
Uh,
for the man. Yes, so with that said, I think we gave people just about enough time to load up the web page. So if you are over in the TFR chat room, thank you all for being there.
the Wookiee Cave.
The Wookiee Cave, yes, the Wookiee Cave.
Is that a that could be another location if you were in a Wookiee cave and a bunch of paranormal stuff started happening.
Only if you were alone. If there was a Wookiee there, that'd be quite cool. I'd just put the Wookiee between me and anything bad that's going on, man. Wookiees can handle stuff like that, dude. A Yoda in the corner, just in case we need to battle something, you know?
Are Wookiees related to Sasquatch?
I would like to think that they're from the same kind of species. I would. Romantically, I have thoughts.
Yeah,
not
here.
like romantically, sexually, but, you know. I romanticize about that.
I'll throw out a little bit of like weird woo fan fiction. What if Sasquatch are Wookiees? You know, coming from Chewbacca's home world. Yeah. What if they have a Stargate there and they're just visiting and then teleporting back?
I've wondered as well, not just that, Scott, what if it's just like people on any other, like any ancient planet, advanced civilization, they've got the tech, right? It's like the holodeck. It could be like an outing. You could like come and roam North American forests as Bigfoot for a week. And like that's like it's almost like a kind of adventure holiday. Because it's a bit remote. It's random if you're going to bump into anyone, but if you do, you got to make sure you go, whoa, the best kind of. You go back and you say, look at this dude, look at me, I'm all over the internet, man. They got a picture of me. Yeah, but nobody believes you.
You got me thinking about some interesting woo we can get into after you get done with the
Yeah,
wiki.
because we've got time travel woo, we've got Loch Ness woo, we've got maps that are out of time, out of place. We've got all sorts today, don't we, Scotty?
Yes, indeed. It's going to be a good one.
Okay, then. We've definitely given the Wookiees long enough now, right? Definitely long enough to get in there. So first up, you've got some absolute genius called Kev Baker. I'm only joking. My name's Dave, by the way. We've got Sophia in there. We have got Bam, Silimo, Buzzacino, Ra. That's R-A-H, not to be mistaken with the Egyptian Ra. So we've got Boy Solomon. Ah, you grew up to be a naughty king, son. We've got Nightshade. That sounds like the name of a wrestler. That's pretty cool. Paradoxical Anomaly. We've got CJ in there. The Robo-Fish. Everything's going robo nowadays. Yep. Trudy Glenn. Carol. Cold Brews. Epic. Yes, Epic Journeyman is going to be on the Kev Baker show later on this month to talk about Mandela Woo. Hope you can make it for that one, Scotty. That'll be a good one. definitely. We've got Psycho Dave in there. Damn it, Psycho Dave. Not tonight, Psycho Dave. Just keep it cool. Keep it chill, man. We've got Andrea.
Every time I hear Psycho Dave, I think of M. Bison from Street Fighter, and he goes, Psycho Crusher!
You and your video games, Scott. We've already had this conversation today, I'm telling you.
Yes, I know.
We've got Andrea all the way from New Zealand. We've also got Lewis, 1987. Oh, I wish I was born in 87. That would take, what, 9 years off me? No, 11 years off me. I'd be back to being 33 again, dude. Lothar, I didn't say it to trigger you. I know you love your 33 number. But, why am I reminiscing about age? Because, Scott, we're going to get into time travel and weirdness like that. But what was it before we went to the chat room there, I'm going to let you launch off with your little thought that you had, where we were going to take things.
Well, I mean, I don't know why, because it just, random things.
Random thoughts of Scotty.
Yeah. So, like ley lines, and we talk about like all of these, like megalithic sites that are built on ley lines, and how it's possible that they could have been using those to. What if that was the way they were traveling long distances, like say traveling from the Great Pyramid to say another pyramid in South America, just teleporting from one location to another, right? So you've cut out the whole traversing an ocean. You just teleport to wherever you want at any given location on the planet. And I was thinking, well, if that kind of thing existed, say on we'll say it's the micro scale, what if there is a network of planets connected via universal ley lines?
Our mycelial network that we've stolen from Star Trek.
Possibly.
Scott, I'm going to shock you. I'm going to go along with you on this one. And I'll give you the reason why. I know there's a lot of fake photographs out there about ancient stargates that have been found in the desert and things like that. But I do think that, be it the pyramid, be it one of the structures in Egypt, another temple maybe, I think we had Stargate technology. I really do. And I think it's interplanetary. And if that's the case, then it's really a no-brainer what you're talking about, isn't it? Because if we're willing to say that there's a network of these like devices that are strung throughout the galaxy or beyond, obviously it would make sense, right? You have like a local one where you could, like you're saying, jump between gates, If you can jump to a gate out in some way off planetary system, why can't you jump to a gate over on the other side of the world? Well, you can.
Exactly. I mean, if you have the ability to, like you said, to do that, an interplanetary Stargate jump, then why wouldn't you just utilize it at a local kind of more small scale level too? And we talk about like ancient civilizations, like the Atlanteans and stuff like that. All of these pre-Andaluvian civilizations, and the kind of technology that they possessed, and that their level of technology was completely different than what we have now. Like, we've evolved, like our technological evolution has taken a completely different path or course compared to theirs. And I think theirs was more based on natural energies, tapping into resonant frequencies. And
I think that goes with the cycle of the ages. I think we have like peaks and troughs, and during the peaks, I think that's when we become almost one of these civilizations that can utilize near enough everything around us. Naturally rocks, dimensions, everything else. But then when you're in one of these troughs, maybe that's when you go the artificial way. Maybe that's when you try to replicate the things that you could do in a golden age naturally, you know?
What if that's the reason why extraterrestrials haven't visited us? What if our stargates are broken on this planet
Purposefully.
and
If they were
there's no
working
way
at
for
one
them
point and we came here, Scott, me and you would look at each other and go, do you think we should just take the fuse out? Possibly.
because I mean it doesn't make sense to travel in a spaceship, right? Because you're limited by the speed of light, supposedly.
By our standard model of
Yeah, by
physics,
our
yeah.
standards, right? By our model of physics, even if you're to travel at the speed of light, there'd be no way that you could even travel actually that far in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you start talking about like, even 100 light
Yeah,
years.
you've got
That's
you've got a
100.
problem with the
Yeah.
mass that you start to gain, man. That's why at CERN they've got all of those kind of big magnets like keeping things pushed together. Because the closer you get to that light speed, the more you want to, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you're talking about quantum entanglement and that stuff and stargates and warping space-time and utilizing wormholes and things like that, then that's a much more logical way of traversing great distances, so maybe at one point we had these stargates, which I believe we did, and now they're not active, or maybe they are.
Maybe they're
And we
getting
just
reactivated. I've always kind of thought about the D wave. The conversation with Geordie, I've listened to that a good few times. It's that parallel realities thing. I've still got a thing with that. He's really like, he emphasizes not dimensions, Kev, like parallel realities, whatever that means. And I have to keep coming back to the altar to an alien god. He explained it, I get that. But an altar to me, and you're talking about an alien god or something outside on the other end of it, that sounds like communication, right? And you see, that's the thing. Because if there are these other technologically advanced civilizations out there, and this is the way things go when you go quantum and you create AIs that are in your dimension and other dimensions as well, then theoretically, the minute you send a qubit into one of these other dimensions, it might not be alone. In fact, it might be surrounded by a lot of other AI out there. Because any other civilization that's doing the same kind of thing, they've been accessing those same realities. Do you see where I'm coming from, Scott? And maybe that's why, not only, wow, we're in another reality, but it is like an altar. Because literally it's spewing forth information about who only knows what. And again, I can't prove it all. I'm not even going to try and sell you a book at the end of this. But it's possible. It's good woo.
Oh, it's very good woo, Kev.
For part
and,
one of Freaky Friday. Mwah. It's exquisite woo.
Very exquisite. And what do you think that extra 10% that comes back is, Kev?
It's more than the tip. I'll tell you that, Scott. It's more than just the tip. Exactly.
That always blew my mind. That when he said
we should really play that video again one day because he still didn't answer that bit. He was a clever man, so he was. He bamboozled me with his big words and his Geordie Roseness. And by the end of it, I thought, what happened there? Damn, dude.
You were bamboozled by the beast, Kev. The
so
beast.
I've been told. I didn't get that vibe off him. Didn't smell the sulfur. He smelled good. As much, not that I was sniffing him on air or anything, but
Although he was rocking the whole red and black attire.
Dude, if he could have heard the conversations during the break, Geordie Rose is like us, dude. He absolutely plays up to that whole wow ooga booga side of things, man. I can tell you, man. He loves it.
Hey, you got to be a bit of a showman, and
doesn't mean that what we're talking about isn't real though.
Exactly. No, you're right.
And I've got a quote that I think we need to get into, and we'll kind of get the tech stuff out the way first, then before we go even deeper, because this all ties in. Because we've got Elon Musk and the neural link. Now, people love it, people hate it. I'm not here today to try and convince you any way about it, but there's one quote in this that really stood out, and I think you kind of agreed as well, Scott. It's kind of an interesting quote, and it ties in with where we are now, potentially. And he's been out talking again about the neural link. We'll get into some of that on the other side, but the whole AI thing, the whole D-wave quantum AI, and I've always, I've watched again and again and again Elon when he talks about the AI, and I says to you, Scott, it's almost like he's scared of whatever he's seen at some point, whether it was Bezos or somebody at Google or the kind of tech labs and workshops he's going into, the kind of startups. He's seen beyond cutting edge stuff, right? And at some point, whatever he's seen, he thought, damn, scary, very scary. And with that said, let me just read out this little quote. Because it says here, in an interview with the New York Times, Musk predicted AI could overtake humans in the next 5 years based on current trends. But he also said that it doesn't mean that everything goes to hell in 5 years. It just means that things get unstable or weird. Is my assessment about why AI is overlooked by smart people is that very smart people do not think that a computer can ever be as smart as they are. And this hubris. And this is hubris and obviously false. We are headed towards a situation where AI is vastly smarter than humans, and I think that time frame is less than 5 years from now. So he says that in the next 5 years, this is us approaching the singularity. And not only that, Scott, but we might look for the world getting a little bit unstable or a little bit weird as we get closer to an AI taking over everything. Hello?
I was about to say, if you look around right now, things look a little unstable and a little weird.
Just
especially
saying.
2020, man. 2020 is the year of instability and weirdness.
It just is, isn't it? That's a strange one, dude. But the actual neural link, before we go to the break, we'll probably be able to squeeze this in here. Now you get the kind of the cool stuff, and then you get the kind of the stuff that they're going to sell you on, and then you'll get the stuff that you kind of makes you go, what on earth's name are they playing about with here? But it says here, Elon Musk's mysterious neural link chip could make you hear things that were impossible to hear before. So it says, in a report by The Independent, Musk revealed that the chip will allow the wearer to hear things that they weren't able to hear before, as it was out of the human's hearing range, meaning the neural link chip can be used to extend that range of hearing beyond normal frequencies and amplitudes. Imagine you start hearing EVPs. Ooh. Disembodied voices. Ooh. Ooga boogas.
That could be. I mean,
now here's the one though, right? And people will say, but Kev, there you go. He's trying to hoodwink you with this next part. Additionally, and perhaps even more interesting and exciting, and I agree, is that the mysterious chip will apparently be able to restore movement for people with a fully severed spinal cord. Now, just think about that, folks. Able to restore movement for people with a fully severed spinal cord. If that proves to be true, it could help millions of people who have had spinal injuries and were unable to move since then, providing the best and perhaps the only cure available on the market. So Scott, a couple of minutes before we go to the break, I mean, what do you think of that? So you've got, you can have superhuman hearing in one hand, but we can save lives on the other hand, we can let people walk again.
I mean, look, this is just a tool that it's all going to come down to how it ends up being used. I mean, there's positive and negative aspects to this. It's not it. I think it's all going to depend on how Musk rolls this out and whether the software that it runs on is proprietary or open source. If it's some kind of a proprietary code that nobody is able to analyze and dig through, then I'm going to have a big problem with it. But if it's open source, or if he just allows people to maybe code their own software for it, then I think that's going to be a much more better
Recoding
thing.
your own brain. Oh, 2020, folks. Who's got that on their bingo card? We'll be right back. Ah, yes. A big hello to all of you people out there in YouTube land. I hope you're enjoying this so far. We've got a little bit.
How dare you!
You gotta get some sound effects in, Scotty, while we can, And for you people out there as well, I want you to feast over. This is probably the closest that anyone, Scott, anywhere on YouTube has ever gotten to the black goo. Wouldn't you agree, Scott? Wouldn't you agree that we're about to see black goo like nobody's ever seen it before?
Yes, this is quite good. I like what you've done with this.
Here we go, dude. Here we go. Right, we'll get some
Go
tunes on as well. Get some tunes on for it. Here we go. Ready? Boom. Oh, look at that black goo. Oh, looking awfully goobery.
What's all this about a 10-day global blackout?
No idea, dude. No idea.
I don't know.
No idea. I know there's stupid letters of the alphabet talk about these things, and don't hold your breath, brother. Don't hold your breath. It'll probably be right around the corner with mass arrests in the White House, running around the world on unicorns. So there you go, Scotty boy. You like that, dude? No, Bison, I've no idea, dude. I've no idea about a 10-day global blackout. But it sounds very similar to the 10 days of darkness that you always hear predicted by that corner of the world. Yes, Scotty. You liking that, dude?
Yes, very, very blobby, very gooey,
Isn't it?
indeed.
Yep.
Yes, I like it.
Liking it much, man. So when we come back on the other side, we'll get into a bit more of the superpowers that Musky baby. I know I'll be triggering people big time out there, but yeah, he talks about the superpowers that we can have, Scotty. We can be our own X-Men. Indeedy.
It's Whoa, hold on. I'm trying to read what it says. They'll be able to do this by using a sewing machine-like device that will sew threads and planet brain. That would then connect to a single USB-C cable. Oh, cool. So I get fast charging on my head.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Charge your iPhone up.
Yep.
I'd be stuck. The world's gone mad, hasn't it? We're here, dude. We're in like Cyberpunk meets Idiocracy meets Blade Runner and Minority Report. A little bit of Contagion on the top of it, I suppose. Be rude to miss that bit out, right?
Dude, you just take every sort of dystopic future scenario and like it's starting to all be thrown in the blender now, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All of it.
All of it. And then some. And then some. So yeah, folks, please do us a big favour. Hit that like button, hit share, tell everyone that we're over here. Trying to make sense of all the weirdest woo in the world. We've got some really good stuff on the way as well. We've got a little bit more tech before we get there, but we've got time travel. We've got ancient woo, we've got present day woo. It's all coming. We've got Loch Ness woo, portals, we've got vampires. What more does a Freaky Friday need, Scott? I think I pretty much covered all bases, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. Look at that, on time and everything, man. Dang, dude.
How dare you?
The Wookiee will dare as much as the Wookiee wants, Greta, because this is Freaky Friday, and it's the Wookiee's Freaky Friday. It's never ever been synonymous or even connected to Greta Thunberg. So welcome back, Scott. Yes, indeed, little Greta. My own soundboard triggered me. What is going on there, man?
You know it's bad when your own soundboard triggers you, man.
You see, that would be like my bad luck if I was to get the neural link. No, folks. No, I know people will be unsubscribing from the channel en masse. But that would be like universal karma. Like, it would talk to me. Everyone else gets a cool voice. You know, maybe they get... I don't know, who's a cool voice? AOC, something like that. I'd get Greta Thunberg talking to me, man. You see how I double-triggered people there? You see how I sneaked that one under the radar, Scott? That was a good one, right?
I know that immediately, like, it was like an instant spike of blood pressure on me for a
It's like
second. I was like,
the glitch in our cell. You're like, whoa, what happened there?
Yeah, as soon as I hear AOC, I'm like,
Yeah. Who would you rather be stuck in a cell with, AOC or Greta?
Oh my god,
That's horrendous, right?
Hey, sorry, but I might have to just take
Do you think when Greta gets thrown in the cell, it goes like this?
How dare you?
Probably not, Scott, no.
If you're giving me that choice, I might have to take the Epi Boys route.
Yeah, I get you, man. Take the EpiPen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The EpiPen escape card. Absolutely.
Mr. Epi Boy's escape plan would have to kick into effect.
Now, we're talking about the neural link. I can't remember the name of the film I watched recently. It might even have been a TV series. I think it was called... Oh, was it Island? Virtual Island? But you got these people, and they're like are apparently stranded on a desert island. But you come to find out by the end of it, it's a new penal system where the inmates, are chipped up, and they're put into this, in this show's case, an island scenario to see if they can to grow and become better people, Scott. Rehabilitate on a desert island, not in a prison system, you know. Actually a good idea, but the neural link, I mean, that's science fiction, neural link, real life, very blurred, very close there now, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that just 15 years ago would have been considered science fiction that is now emerging into reality, right? I just saw today that there's this company that has created a hologram box, dude. Like a literal box that you walk into, and then somehow it's scanning your whole body while you're inside of it, and it's transmitting a hologram of you to another location.
Oh, that's like some 21st century, like Houdini meets David Copperfield shenanigans going on there, Scott.
You're gonna have to look it up because I don't know the name of the company or whatever, but if you just maybe do a search for like hologram box or hologram, but I was like, whoa, are you it literally is like something out of science fiction, man. And I don't know, it might be in the news if you look in the news, but yeah, I don't know. I'll look for it later and find the actual company is. But
Scott's having a Mandela effect. It's happened on another timeline. It didn't happen here, Scott. I'm like joking, man. I'm only joking. From holograms to wearables, I will be watching. Not, it's Scotty.
Maybe it is
Come
a
on,
man.
Is it called maybe the Hollow Box? Nah. Scotty, nah. No, that's not it. No. Scott's in the middle of his own Mandela. Well, while you look for that, brother,
I'll be back. Yes, I'll be back.
I
and I'll
will
look-
get another couple of quotes here about the neural link. It says, what is the neural chip exactly? Well, Musk founded the company in 2016, but until now the CEO has only made one major presentation about how the technology they are developing will work. Ultimately, the company's goal is to create a direct link between the brain and a computer. They'll be able to do this by using a sewing machine-like device that will sew threads to the implanted brain chip, which would then connect to a single USB-C cable that enables full bandwidth data streaming to the brain. I know this isn't science fiction either, it's crazy. So this is based on the research that the company's scientists have published last year. And furthermore, the company's CEO plans to enhance the chip's capability and allow mankind to compete with artificial intelligence. Nevertheless, their first iterations of the Neuralink chip is to help people with neurological issues and brain disorders like Parkinson's and depression and anxiety. Now, as of now, Musk has only been sharing snippets of the Neuralink chip's prowess through a series of tweets, but he's planning to hold an event on August the 28th, and I can't wait. Oh, you knew I'd be waiting up for that one. And we'll hopefully talk about, or more, about the mysterious chip, and will finally provide the public with more information on its features and the technology behind it. One of the other articles, Scott, talks about how literally you'll have increased powers of reasoning. It also talked about how anxiety may be a thing of the past. So in some way it's like bypassing emotional reactions and things and natural processes in the brain. Much as I love Musk, right? And I'm a believer that free will, anyone who wants to do this, who am I to knock it? But this doesn't sound good, Scott. This has like, whoa, bad juju all over it. This is the Borg, right? That's how it starts.
Well, like I said, it all depends on how it's rolled out and the software. You know, if they just allow people to code their own programs for specific case scenarios with it, then I could see that would probably be a lot better than, say, you get the neural lace or the neural link, and it comes with this pre-packaged OS, I guess you could say.
The X-Man Deluxe. Gives you like cat vision, night vision, all that kind of jazz going on, dude.
But like say somebody has a spinal cord injury, right? And they get the neural lace, and the software is only specifically coded for handling the spinal cord injury and nothing else, then I think that would be a much better route to take. And that's
and I think that's going to be the catch-22, isn't it? Because I think it's going to be, by the sound of it, because even like the tech websites that report and all this, they don't know either, because we're dealing with snippets of info.
Mm-hmm.
Nanotech, usually not dual-purposed, multi-purpose, in fact, program to purpose. So I would imagine it's probably going to be a standard default one, and then possibly with your USB-C, you'll get a firmware update, a software update, whatever's tailored to you. I don't know, but also, I would imagine there's people out there. Maybe they're not thinking this. Maybe it's just me, but it's hard enough right now to make sure your devices don't get hacked, right? The brain, dude, they're in your brain. But then Elon Musk has got the autonomous cars, and I would have to pray to God, Buddha, Allah, whatever on earth is up there, right? That quantum encryption, because you need that for the cars, dude. You can't have somebody breaking in and like hijacking cars and stuff. So I would imagine you're gonna have to have some kind of quantum encryption for these things. And are you gonna be on a quantum mainframe type thing? Are you gonna be like basically the eyes and ears for an AI, training it without even knowing?
What if you could set up your password to be a memory that only you remember?
And he talked about memories on Joe Rogan. I don't know if you caught the latest one, not the smoking one, but he says, imagine it, Joe. I mean, it's all right now. You can remember things, you know, and it's never exactly the way it was though. And he says, imagine being able to see it in like full 8K, things you didn't even notice the first time, all the smells there, all the noise, all the ambient noise that was there, stuff you'd never even realised the first time round. All of it captured, because you're basically capturing 8K, reality K kind of footage all day long with your webcams, your eyes, you know? That's
Dude,
crazy,
it's so
dude, isn't it?
crazy. It's so bizarre to think about, man. That like that this sort of talk would have been, like I said, total science fiction, just way out there, you know, just 10, 15 years ago. And now we're talking about it in the context of, well, you know, this whole Neuralink thing is about to happen, and this stuff
Exponential, Scott.
it is exponential. So I mean, like, let's say it goes the route of like open source or tailored software depending on the person, right? So are you going to have your group of, would you just say, enthusiast users, the ones who really don't have anything wrong with them, you know, like
The one who jailbreaks it, like people who just want it in and jailbreak the thing and do what they want with it, like that kind of group. Yeah.
Exactly. You're in the PC world, we call them power users, you know, or, you know, basically your cyberpunks, you know, your people who really are all about that cyberpunk
We've already got these
lifestyle.
body hackers. I mean, we've covered this before. People in their own basement, you know, they're hacking themselves. They're putting like chips in. They're putting ports in. It's their body.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking their body. They want to do it. Not for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's same with like the biohackers, right? The people buying the CRISPR kits and trying to tinker around with their own DNA and stuff like that. If this Neuralink thing is kind of an open source platform, I guess you could say, that anybody could tinker with and mess with, then you're going to see like all kinds of wild stuff. You know, you're going to see the guy that's really going to try and unlock a part of his brain. You know what I mean? Like they're going to try to push it to the limit, see if they can unlock, you know,
I don't think we can handle that. I don't think we can handle that. Whatever governor is on our brain. And remember, our brain starts to glitch out with topics like time. I think when you're getting close to describing the nature of reality as well, there's like an inbuilt kind of firewall thing. It's almost like a loophole that kind of, you can't get past it. If we were to take that little governor off, just that little inhibitor off, just even a little bit, like putting your foot down on an accelerator, holy shimoly, Scott, I think we would be dribbling idiots. I think we would be in a padded cell. Because I think we would be going, you have got to be joking me. That this is like what's going on all around us. Get me out of here. Take me back to that simpler place where I thought it was just the way it is, you know?
Look, I'm not going to lie. If I did have it, and they did give me the ability to tinker around and play with the code a little bit, I probably would. I know
I would as well. I'm merely truth signaling, Scott. It's the truther version of virtue signaling. I'm not going to take that pesky neural link because I know it's the mark of the beast and everything. And the minute I get off of here, I'll be putting my name on the waiting list. Elon. Wire me up. I'm only joking, folks, but am I? Am I not?
Look, when Kev does a stream, he has to like keep his head at one angle so nobody sees the
Oh no,
wires.
man! I've
Gotta be-
already got this big ear thing going on. I've developed a bit of a thing. I've got like a bit of a kind of a conscious thing about this one big ear that I see when I'm streaming. Can't look at myself anymore because I just see one big ear. It's like half a Dumbo.
See, man, what's gonna happen is Kev's gonna get it, and the next day, all of his After Effects skills are going to exponentially explode into some.
We already had this conversation. We think I might have woke up on a different timeline as it is.
some Michael Bay level CGI graphics is just gonna randomly pop up one day, and Kev's gonna be like, "Oh no, I just watched a tutorial last night. That's all it was."
It's like today I was using all the language and things. I don't even know where I heard half the language. Scott's like, "Oh, listen to you. Maybe we've jumped timelines."
When really, the side of Kev's head with the Neuralink plugged in is just pulsing.
I've actually had to take the back off because like it's water cooled. It's usually water cooled, but this big shaggy do hairstyle I've got now, it's kind of overheating and things. So yeah, you've caught me, Scott. You've caught me. Jordy swapped me out during that show and nobody even noticed. So congratulations. It took like 2 years for people to notice I've been swapped out. Am I on the list? Am I on the list? Am I a clone? Am I in Gitmo, really? Who knows?
You're going to have to water cool your head, Kev.
Probably. I need to do a lot to this head. It's really starting to look like a bit of an abomination. But listen, we're talking about hacking people's brains, and that's one thing, right? But we often talk about consciousness and dreams here on the show, on the network. I remember listening to Chris and Cherie years ago, and one of the topics that time and time again would come up would be dreaming, consciousness, what happens when we're dreaming, do we go to other realities, all that kind of stuff. And does it makes you wonder. Then I came across this story here. Excuse me. MI tests a dream incubation device that manipulates the content of people's dreams. Let me just stop right there. Scotty Lopez. I shared with you when I was on the Chantix/Champix how it really affected my dreaming to the point where this might sound mad, and I've got my own proof, and to me, I've tested this, and I'm happy to say this, and I don't care what people think. But that dreaming when I was on that drug, and for anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's that one to stop you smoking. That was traveling, Scott. I can't explain, and I can't give the evidence that makes it real for me. But I was doing some kind of weird astral travel. And it was you and Popeye had said to me, there's even websites about Chantix dreams, and it's weird, right? It really affects it. So I already think when you're dreaming, Scott, it's a really misunderstood realm altogether. Before we even get into what they've probably been able to do now with these devices, but what's your initial thoughts on dreams, and then hearing that potentially they can manipulate them?
Well, first of all, I've always believed that you are traveling when you're dreaming. You know, I mean, our brains are a warm, wet quantum computer that somehow is able to not really deal with the decoherence or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's maybe there is a level of decoherence that keeps our brains in check.
Well,
right.
When I was working with Patch, you find out it gets coherent, but then because of the warm and wet, it's like frames.
That's what I'm saying.
If we were to stay coherent, we'd go quantum, and I think that would be as bad as like seeing the whole world and Skinny biscuit.
Yeah, it's got a level, like it's got itself in check. You know, where there's only a certain level that it can go to before it hits its max threshold. But I think when you're sleeping, when your brain is able to sort of kind of relax itself, and that decoherence is not as pronounced, when you're sleeping. So you're essentially traveling, you're doing quantum travel when you're dreaming, and you're phasing in and out of different realities, and perhaps you're even creating parallel realities, right? Like Geordie Rose was talking about, these parallel realities where there's an infinite number of different outcomes and scenarios and things like that. So, I've if you have bizarre dreams, like for example, where you're flying, right? Maybe in that reality, physics is completely different. Maybe gravity, it operates in a completely different way in that reality that you've teleported yourself to. But I also think that's why dreams, in general, they change a lot. Like you notice, like when you're dreaming, it's never like this one stable kind of thing. I mean, you can have kind of a stable kind of thing going on, but then all of a sudden the dream will change and morph into something completely different, right?
Very fractured. Yep.
Yeah, very fractured. Like you can be in one scenario 1 minute and one scenario the next minute, and you're constantly like jumping around and stuff. And it's very rare that you have a single kind of, I guess you could say, a single coherent dream. Which, I mean, it can happen, but I think that's just the fact that you're tuning into these different frequencies. It's like twisting the dial on a radio, and you're just like scanning through different channels, and you might stop on one for a little bit, and next thing you know, you're on another channel and whatever. And I think that's where I would say examples of like meditation and focus and all of that come into play, and really trying to imagine yourself, well, not imagine, but trying to get yourself to focus on traveling to one frequency, or tuning into that one frequency, right?
See, I'm useless. I've tried meditating, Scott. I don't know about you, but see, try to focus on one thing, or like you're talking there. Oh,
I would say a good example would be like people who try to do the whole lucid dream thing.
yeah. No, it's not even an option for me, man.
Yeah, I've tried it, and it's very, very difficult. I don't know. My mind races so much, anyways. It's hard for me to try.
Voices and arguments.
But for the people that can do that, right? For the people who do have that ability to do the lucid dream thing and then start to control their dreams and take control of it, I think that they're starting to be able to focus on a frequency, or focus on traveling to a certain place and stay there, and I don't know. Hey,
That used to frustrate me about my mum. She could do that. You could call it astral travel, I suppose you'd call it, Scott. And but she said she'd always freak out when she got like to the end of the garden path at the gate, just in case she could never get back. And obviously I was younger at the time. I wasn't listening to like experts on astral travel on coast to coast. It was pre-internet. But if I'd known then what I know now, I could have said, and people out there who maybe can astral travel, maybe this means something to you. I've heard numerous people talking about like a golden cord, and it's almost like that. It connects you back to the body, And I've heard many experiencers talking about that fear, and it's quite right? How am I going to get back? It's automatic to think that. But once you've conquered that, Scott, you can go, and who knows what that opens up.
I think that golden cord, or that golden cord you're talking about, is like the literal quantum entanglement. Yeah, that you're
pretty much
in its visual form, or whatever, or feeling that people have. you're quantum traveling, but you're still tied. You know,
Well,
you're in two
there's our
locations
good
at once.
friend. You see, I knew somebody would keep us right. Mammoth! Not the one they found in the Russian lake. The real mammoth from down under now. She says it's a silver cord. I stand corrected. And the
okay.
umbilical cord as well, Scott. So there you go. I'm putting my place. There you go. Yep.
Mm.
Order of the silver cord. Blah, blah.
Bluff.
Thank you. Thank you, down under. Yes. See? Our team we make here, Scotty boy. But we're almost on the break now. When we come back on the other side, we're going to take a look at what MIT are able to do, or what they claim they're able to do with our brains. I tell you, it's bad enough on a good day without anyone intruding into my cranial space, what goes on in my dreams. I don't need anyone playing about in there more. We'll be back on the other side, Scotty boy, and hopefully nobody will cranially abuse us between now and the other side. Don't go anywhere. That's a pretty cool term. Cranial abuse. Yeah.
Cranial abuse.
I've listened to a few podcasts that I could probably classify as cranial abuse. Makes your neurons hurt.
I've seen quite a few YouTube channels that.
Ones that make your eyes bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But hey, we love everyone on YouTube. And we know our terms of service. We've got to love everyone on YouTube. We love them all.
We would never, ever
Not critical of anyone.
criticize anybody on YouTube.
Letters in the alphabet, Bagley, blue chicken. Yes, indeed. So we're going to come back on first paranormal. Dude, you want to worry about you want to worry about abuse. Yes, indeed. Just the tip of the probe, I'm assured, Jason. All
Yes,
ET.
Jason.
Yes, it's only the tip.
That is never the kind of abuse you want to have to deal with. Well, you don't want to deal with any kind of abuse, but that's a particular abuse that is of.
Look at Mammoth Hunter there. Look at this. Look, I always protect myself intentionally before embarking on astral travel. That's an epic way to this. Before I embark on my travels, I can just see Mammoth now in the old ninja suit, you know, nunchucks out, old Miyagi training her up. Are you ready to embark? Damn, dude, don't be coming over here and whooping my astral ass. Don't be doing that. Super important to protect yourself, sport. Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. Tiny kangaroo down, sport.
You're just gonna be sitting there one day, Kev, and you're just gonna see like
slapped in the face.
A holographic astral projection of like Mammoth just like pop up in your living room and just.
I didn't realize it was like.
Give you a good knock upside the head.
I didn't realize it was like a mad kind of gladiatorial kind of arena that you're going into there. I thought it was all like fairies and I suppose the odd goblin or two. Well, now that I think about it, maybe you do need to have fighting skills. It's like the UFC of interdimensional travel, man. Dang, dude. So we're going to come back on the other side. How the hell did I get there?
Oh, my God.
Only on Freaky Friday. I can't say that because it usually happens and descends into madness on KBS as well, so I suppose. Yes. Jason, where are you going this weekend, man? He's like out investigating like ruined forts and some place that Crowley was at as well, man.
Oh.
Yeah. He's stepping up a notch or two, you know.
Be careful, Jason, when you're dealing with Crowley
Mammoth,
stuff.
don't be embarrassed. Take that embarrassment, embrace it, and turn it into your strength, and embark on your missions. I love it, absolutely love it. Luna, you've missed nothing. We're just getting warmed up. We got 2 hours to go here. Dang, dude. So back on the other side, and we'll get into the old the Hocus Pocus dream machine. Not the one from Scooby-Doo. Maybe it is. Maybe I've read it wrong. Maybe they've like just made a Scooby-Doo machine. I don't know. Here we go. There we go. Hour number 2 on today's Freaky Friday, right here on TFRlive.com. Don't forget, folks, doesn't end with Freaky Friday today. Far from it. In fact, we warm you all up. We get you in the mood for the paranormal portal. And Brent Thomas, well, he will take it all from there. And that's coming up right here on the network, right after myself and Scotty Lopez. We get done for the day. Good laugh during the break there, Scotty. Who knew? Who knew that astral travel had so much kind of, baggage associated with it? You can't just like set out one day and, right, I'm going astral traveling. If you do, you're going to meet some astral karma out there, dude.
You've got to prepare before you embark on your astral journey.
Brilliant. We have got the best audience in the world. Big shout out to everyone down under, all the way around. And back again to Alaska, Norway, beyond. So many countries tuning in. It's absolutely awesome. And it doesn't matter what country you're in. Because now they've got a magical machine that can play about within your dream. Yes, well, that's what the headlines sound like anyway. So we'll get into it, right? So it says here.
Yes.
A dream incubation device. That alone, Scott. That alone makes this a level of story, right? Scientists have developed an experimental device and protocol for manipulating the content of people's dreams while they're sleeping. Well, I'd hope they're sleeping. By making them recall specific cues. That's CUES, people, not that other one. That can trigger targeted dream themes and experiences. So while the boundless dream building of Inception remains the stuff of science fiction for now, the new research shows that the evolving science of dream control is far more than fantasy, and the information processed during sleep is capable of being engineered from the outside. Well, why doesn't that surprise me? In a new study, a team led by neuroscientist Adam Horowitz from MIT, that's a cool name, described how a wearable electronic device called a Dormio enables what the researchers term targeted dream incubation. TDI, I like it. During the first stage of sleep, where the sleeper experiences a borderland state of consciousness called hypagogia, hypnagogia. Yeah.
I believe this is the same sort of borderline state of sleep that people who do lucid dreaming operate in this level of consciousness as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah, big time, dude. Big time. So, sorry, I got a message there from a couple of listeners sending things in. There could be good woo coming from our audience tonight. So it says here, this state of mind is trippy, loose, flexible, and divergent. Horowitz explains. Can I just call him Har? He sounds like he should be in the Jungle Book or something. But it says here, it's like turning...
It's like he's part Klingon.
Yeah, Har. Yeah, he does that kind of crazy... Oh, did I almost got it? Crazy hand things going on, see?
That's Vulcan, Kev.
You see, dude, you don't mix your Vulcans up with your other things, right? You see, I'm a hybrid clone, Scott. Really, the real Kev was taken to Gitmo many months ago. It's like turning the notch up high on mind wandering and making it immersive. Being pushed and pulled with new sensations like your body floating and falling, with your thoughts quickly snapping in and out of control. Hypnagogia shares many of the fluid, dreamlike sensations of rapid eye movement sleep, but with an important difference. People can still hear and process audio during this in-between state, as the transition of being awake to being asleep and vice versa, a crucial sensory backdoor that enables targeted dream incubation to work. It's almost like nature left it open, Scott, for the manipulation of our little processors that go a long way to creating all of this crazy matrix that's all around us that we think's real in the first place. We might just be in somebody's dream.
I mean, our brains, it's crazy because this just kind of confirms that, our brains are literally a computer. And what they've done was they found an exploit. They found a backdoor in order to inject, outside code, essentially, which it would be whatever they're using to, trigger this manipulation within the dream state. But yeah, they've essentially found an exploit, an exploit in the brain.
Yeah, yeah.
And can backdoor something into it.
Yeah, just
It's
a
wild, man.
combination of neurons, probably, a little spike of voltage in there. Bada bing, bada boom. Just like your graphics card, just like your CPUs, all those different voltages and things. It's uncanny how like a computer we are. Are we like the computer, or is the computer like us? What came first? Was it the computer or the egg? So then, it says here, much like a similar experimental method called targeted memory reactivation, which reactivates specific memories that are triggered by a cue delivered during sleep, TDI may have applications as a learning tool that can improve memory consolidation, but it comes with a specific advantage. The Dormio device worn on the wrist like a sensor-laden glove. So this is how you do it. It's just like little sensors on your middle finger and your index finger. Goes round to your wrist. Damn, dude.
It's essentially using some kind of sensory input on the fingers, like it'll trigger maybe just a feeling or something on the finger or whatever that will trigger whatever changes they want to make while you're very interesting.
It's like basically they've tapped into the central nervous system bus, and they're like shooting up the nerves of the finger into the brain through a back door. Bob's your uncle. You're in a really horrible dream you never thought you'd be in ever. Who thinks of that? Who even thought of this, dude?
It's like if they backdoored your computer, right, and they use some weird exploit from your browser to cause your CD-ROM drive to open up, right? They're just finding these interesting little attack vectors, I guess you could call it, or exploit vectors, in order to do this stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Jason in the chat room, First Paranormal, he's talking about when we had him on. Remember he was talking about the woman with two brains and things? One could see out the other's eyes and the dreams.
Yes, exactly.
It says, as the person falls asleep wearing the device, audio cues are played via an associated app, such as, remember to think of a tree. And I'm sure it doesn't say it quite like that, folks, but the dream theme used in the experiment conducted with 49 participants. So the Dormio sensors look out for a physiological data signaling that the person has fallen asleep, at which point the system rouses them briefly, prompting them to say what was going through their minds as they slept, with the verbal dream reported by the app. Now, after this brief interruption, they then return to sleep, but only for a short while, during a series of repeated dreams, awakenings, and prompted recordings, all centered around a state of directed hypnagogia. In theory, it says targeted dream incubation is a protocol for reactivating memories during sleep in a manner that leads to incorporation of the targeted memory or related memories into dream content. So you've got some suppressed memory in there that your brain's decided, you know what, Kev, you don't need to be experiencing that trauma again because that really damaged me as a computer. So you know, it locks away some of these nastier things. It does it to protect you. Okay, and now we're hearing, oh, it's okay. We figured out a way where you can relive that horrible moment time and time and time and time and time again in your dream. How cool is that, Scott?
Oh my god.
This is creepy, man. I mean, who's the dream police? Is there dream police? When did we say, like, people could get into your dreams? I'm just going to go down to the hardware store. What'd you buy today, Kev? I bought a dream hacker. You surely mean a dream catcher? No, I mean a dream hacker. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to stalk people in their dreams. Is that where we're at? What the hell?
I don't know. I don't know what's more creepy. I mean, like the fact that this app is telling you to think of a tree. You know, beings that I was talking about the woods and how creepy it was. The last place I want to go in my dreams is into some creepy forest. Just saying.
It's going to be a creepy, distorted-looking tree as well, Scott. You just know it. While the prototype system is still being refined, the experimental results suggest it does appear to be successfully influenced dreams and can document their contents to a significant extent. So maybe, you know, when you're waking people up 20, 50 bajillion times a night, maybe they're eventually going to tell you exactly, you know, just what dream you want to hear about. They're just going to say it to get left alone. I'm just saying. So when Dormio prompted the participants to think of a tree, think of a tree. Before and during the borderland sleep state, 67% of the dream reports collected by the app mentioned references to a tree upon waking from a hypnagogic state. And my dreams did involve a tree, said one participant who hadn't slept for a month. In a verbal report they gave after awakening. I was following the roots with someone, and the roots were transporting me to different locations. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting some good stuff. I could hear the roots of the tree pulsating with energy, as if they were leading me to some location. In contrast, reports from a control group who were only prompted to observe their thoughts featured virtually no reference to trees. In addition to helping shape people's dreams, the researchers say that Dormio system and dream incubation protocol could be used for various learning techniques involving sleep-based memory consolidation, or as a tool to help creativity and problem solving by prompting people to consciously recall the fluid and vivid thinking of their hypnagogic state. I got it right by the last time in the article. Way! Dreaming about a specific theme seems to offer benefits post-sleep, such as creativity tasks related to this theme. This is unsurprising in light of historical figures like Mary Shelley or Salvador Dali, who were inspired creatively by their dreams. The difference here is that we include these creatively beneficial dreams on purpose in a targeted manner. Now, that there, Scotty boy, Mary Shelley and Salvador Dali, highly influenced by their dreams, right? How often do we talk about these inventors, these geniuses that get these really original thoughts? Is it entirely original now that we're hearing all about the dreams and how there's a lot more going on in dreams that any of us can? I think, again, it gets to the level of the brain that starts to glitch. You can't know this, Kev. You can't know this, Scott. Go back.
Well, I mean, you look at Salvador Dali's artwork, right? And it's surrealist artwork. It literally, you know, his artwork is literally just, it's
tripping
literally
balls. It's tripping balls.
Yeah,
yep.
It's like something that you would see in a dream, almost. You know what I mean? It's
melted clocks and
yeah, very, you know, just wild stuff, you know, and
a cracking tash he's got, isn't it?
Yeah, he had a fantastic mustache.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, we talk about like these artists and these inventors and these people that seem to have received some kind of a download, and it happens during their sleep, right? And it goes back to what I was saying. I mean, it seems like they're tuning into an alternate stream of reality, an alternate sort of a different frequency of some sort where they're receiving this information, and then they can manifest it in our reality. It's pretty wild. I'm actually a really big fan of Salvador Dali. Actually, I like a lot of his artwork.
I
'Cause
must
I
admit,
like
yeah,
a lot of,
it's not big into the arts, but I can definitely look at his stuff because it's crazy.
well, I like a lot of abstract art anyway. Abstract and kind
Not
of
into
surrealist.
this modern nouveau art where people like they
No,
maybe
not
tip out a kitchen bin and leave it
that.
on its side and modern mess. And
Yeah,
you win a
that's
Tate Award or something.
yeah, that's just stupid. I like the kind of art where you've seen a lot of my kind of fractal
Fractal stuff.
work.
Yeah.
But I like the kind of stuff that somebody can kind of like look at it and the kind of pareidolia starts to kick in, or you kind of can make of it what it can kind of differ from person to person, whatever they see in it. I
Well,
like that kind of stuff.
along those kind of themes, we've spoke about Oak Island on the show before, right? And there's one of the theories about the French and everything else, but there's paintings, older paintings, Scott, right? And it doesn't need to be about Oak Island, but some of these older paintings, Da Vinci as well. More of the better known ones, the big name artists of their day. Many of these pictures, do you think, have got like multi-layered meanings to them? You see the Last Supper one with Da Vinci and things like that.
Yeah.
The one I'm thinking of for Oak Island, the theory was that the person in one painting was pointing somewhere, and I could follow where it was going. It was almost like if you knew what you were looking at, it was like a treasure map, you know? But to anyone who didn't know, it was just a cool painting. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that probably happens a lot more often than I think that there's a lot of paintings and stuff out there with sort of double meanings or hidden hidden code or hidden messages that only the artist would understand, obviously, because they made it. But I mean, yeah, I'm sure that totally exists. And yeah, you're right. I mean, like with the Da Vinci stuff, there's a lot of like hidden things within his art. The Last Supper painting,
Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa has got some like hidden encoded stuff in it as well. And
Very woke.
course-
Very woke was Da Vinci. It definitely looks like it could be highly inclusive, Mona Lisa. It's a bit gender fluid, that one. One day it looks like a Mona Lisa. Next day it looks like a Michael Lisa. Yeah, go figure it out. He was woke, man.
yeah, I mean, and look, we got
Scotty didn't know where to go there. He's like, holy hell, he just hit me with Da Vinci's woke. Where's Baker going?
well, I was looking at the chat. Tesla said that Einstein dreamed about photons, and I mean, you have all of these kind of, genius level savants that got this information, in a dream or something.
And then you have people like me that dream, and there's absolutely nothing genius or savant about any of it, Scott.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's the same here, man. It's like, we're tapping into the wrong frequency, Kev. So, yeah. Tesla said that he received a lot of his knowledge during sleep. During in his dreams.
He was talking to Martians as well at one point, was he not? Or he thought he was.
Yeah. Steve Jobs said that a lot of his ideas came to him
Meditation.
during meditation and dreams as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
what was he doing? Was it Hindu stuff, Vedic stuff? He went away kind of like...
he traveled to India and
tripped balls over there.
that's another thing. Like a lot of these Silicon Valley pioneers back in the day were taking psychedelics as well.
Burning Man's like that, dude. That's like a big Silicon Valley get together in the desert. Yeah, that place. I wouldn't mind going for a bit of Burning Man just to experience it one year. Not to take part in the debauchery. I'm not like that. I'm not like that to observe it. But no, I remember myself and Tony Patch, we looked at a story where it was one of the top jobs that Google's got. And one of the rounds of interviews was actually at Burning Man. It was at Burning Man. It was like the third or fourth round. And it was like chief something officer. It was like a big job. And couldn't believe it, dude. Like, we're just going to go out to Burning Man. You've got kind of practical workshop out there. Cool. I'm in. know what I mean?
And look at how many coders and people that work in Silicon Valley that are into the whole microdosing thing.
Yep. Now, would you agree with me then? In fact, now you come to think about it, we were talking earlier on about the governor on the brain, for lack of a better term. Does something like that? Do you think that opens your
Yes.
field of vision from there to there?
I was just about to say that sort of
it blows the back doors off you, and creativity is a floweth. You know what I mean?
It kind of removes the limits. It kind of removes the limits that were that are naturally put on the brain, and you open that up, and the information floweth from somewhere else.
There's a TV show or a movie about that, isn't it? Limitless. I think it's a drug you take, and you basically, instead of using 10% of your brain or whatever they say it is, you go to max power, man. Again, see, I don't think that would be a good thing. I don't think you could handle it. You're going to start experiencing time differently because more's going to be going on every single second. You're going to see a whole lot more of the world. You'll probably see frame dragging. You'll probably see, oh, dude, who knows what you would see.
You probably would actually start to see the structure of the Matrix or our simulation. You know what I mean? You're receiving so much throughput, so much information that you're essentially like decoding everything all at once.
I would imagine, I've said before about when you read sci-fi novels nowadays, AI, one of the common kind of themes that they sew into the story is that because it does have so much more processing power than a human, and because it's doing so many things at once, it slows time down. And I wonder if it's you could pretty much make that comparison then. Us with a fully functional brain, no limits on it. Let's say for argument's sake, 10, 20% we work at. If we were to get that 90, 95%, Scott, that's going to take us up to where that AI is kicking about. Where you've got that much information coming in, you've got that much kind of data flowing in all the time. It's going to slow time down because you're experiencing things so much different. So, could we handle it? I wonder. Or would it drive us mad like an AI? Ooh.
Oh. See, and another huge difference between, say, an artificial intelligence and human, like the human mind, the human brain would be that we're experiencing so much data, like random data, whereas an AI is fed very specific data. So it's really, really, really good at what it's doing.
Do you know what's even
because
weirder, Ed? Do you know what? I'll throw a weird one at you, right? See when you train it on unsorted data, you're talking about absolutely specific data sets. It's going to be a facial recognition. It's going to look at faces, right? But there's this weird effect, and none of them can explain it, where when you feed it like raw data, unsorted, it actually learns quicker and better, Scott. And they think it finds its own more effective way of packaging it and being able to process it. And because of the black box problem, you can't see what it's doing, it freaks the hell out of them. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, man, and it's not just one neural network. This is something that they're coming across. That GPT-2 thing, the text thing, that's one of the places. That's one of the places that had the effect where they're like, that can't be. Unsorted data shouldn't be like making it better and more accurate, but it was. I know,
Interesting.
dude. Yep.
It's almost like it was taking the
It's almost as
random
if
data.
whatever we were doing to it, it was slowing it down. We were doing something to the data ourselves. Something we were doing something to it.
Well, it was doing whatever it could to make sense of the random data, and it figured a way of, I guess, sorting through it, which is interesting. Very weird, man.
Yep. Unsupervised learning.
Unsupervised learning.
Yep. Not classified or labeled. The algorithms are thus allowed to classify, label, and group the data points. That's why it must be quicker, Scott. Because it comes up with its own way of sorting them and grouping them. And again, though, anything that's thinking like that and we can't explain it, that can be a good thing. But I'm going to go and make a quick coffee, right? So I'm going to put some tunes on for a couple of minutes. Folks, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. I need me coffee. Definitely need the coffee. We will be right back. There we go, there we go. Nearly there, Scotty boy, nearly that time. Good show so far, big man. Here we go.
Mm.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Well, whatever you feel like, Wookie, you can be ma'am if you want. We're in the second half of today's Freaky Friday. Scott, it feels like we've spoken about so much, but we're only halfway through the show. This is a weird one, dude. It's almost like we're having some weird inverse effect on the exponential speeding up of time.
I think it's just that we're receiving so much data. There's so much throughput coming through that it's warping time right now,
And
Kev.
the AI recognizes that we're getting close to stuff that we shouldn't be talking about and things, you know. So it's obviously going to be throwing some blockers out there as well, Scotty. You know, we've got to keep that in mind. But what we're going to do now then is I think we're going to shift it up, and we're going to get into some pretty cool woo. What do you think, Scott? Does that sound good to you?
Didn't you have some time travel?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here, man. That's exactly what I'm looking for, but it's alright because I know where to find it. Give me 2 seconds. Let me see over here. There we go. There we go. Never fear. The woo is near. There we go. So then, if I come over here, the headline is awesome. Ancient civilizations and time travel. True incidents of time travel from ancient texts. Now, before we move on any further, let me we had a super chat come in. I almost forgot about that there. How rude of me. So I'm going to play that right now before we go any further. Thank you, DJ. Is it going to play? Is it going to play? There it goes.
First came masks, then came 3 seashells. Dun dun da.
Dun dun dun. Yes,
Okay.
there you go. So then, it says here, true incidents of time travel from ancient texts. So that headline alone, that's where I stopped. And a big shout out to the Gherkins, Karen and her husband, for sending me this article a couple of days ago. Comes from the 2nd of August, or at least that's when it was wrote on our timeline. And it comes from a website called infinityexplorers.com. The idea of time traveling and time machines fascinate people all around the globe, past, present, and future. I had to go there. And when we look into our past, we can find a lot of incidents of ancient civilizations and time travel. While, as per many, it is logical or illogical to believe, illogical to believe that we could travel or time travel in time, some of the greatest scientists in the world have investigated whether it could be possible. Albert Einstein concluded in his later years that the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, and more are familiar with his well-known concept of relativity. That is, that time is relative and not absolute, as Newton claimed. With the proper technology, for instance, a fast spaceship through which one person can experience several days while another person simultaneously experiences only a few hours or minutes. Einstein's convictions had a minor effect on cosmology or science in general. The majority of physicists have been slow to give up the ordinary assumptions we make about time. So, I'm going to start getting into the old Hindu mythology here.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
I'm liking the sound of this, dude.
A lot of good stuff in Hindu mythology.
Big time, man.
Yeah.
Flying machines, wars in space, flying elephants and things. Yeah. In Hindu mythology, the epic, the Mahabharata, I can't say that and get illogical wrong. That's illogical. Written in the 8th century BC by Valmiki, and narrated by Lord Ganesha, also talks about time traveling. King Ryavata Kakumdi is referred to as someone who travelled to the heavens to meet the creator, God Brahma, only to return to Earth hundreds of years in the future. To be exact, 108 yugas had passed on Earth, and it is believed that each yuga represents about 4 million years. That would put him into the ballpark of being like probably the longest time traveller that the temporal realm has ever known, Scott.
Yeah, that's pushing that time machine to the limits, man.
It's a lot of yugas.
It's a lot of yugas, man.
The explanation God Brahma gave to Kakudmi is that time runs differently in different planes of existence. Now, I like that. Now, it's
I
got
like
that there,
too.
yeah. And this was written. When was this written? The 8th century. The 8th century. And we had, yeah, somebody came up with this, whether you believe it came from a god Brahma or not. Somebody was talking about dimensions and the way time works.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
And this goes back to what I was talking about with dreams, right? That the physics in our reality could be completely different in another, and that time probably is time probably operates differently in these realities as well. So maybe 1 year in our reality could equal like 3,000 in another year, or vice versa.
Oh, dude, this is turning into one of those Freaky Fridays, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, it says in Islam, similar things. See, I love it when we touch on all the different kind of beliefs, all the different stories, because I think all of them they've got it in their own way. It's like that tapestry, that puzzle we need to put together. I think that's the scattering of the languages that we hear about, folks. In Islam, yeah. Would you agree, big man?
Oh, definitely. And this is why I've always said that it's important for people to look at many different texts from many different religions and cultures all around the world, because then you start to see parallels, you start to see commonalities, and it
shouldn't affect your own faith. Whatever you believe in, you believe in. Don't let people scare you away from looking at something because they're going to tell you you're going to go to the fiery place if you even look at that. I don't think it works like that, folks. I really don't.
If you're a Christian, there's nothing wrong with looking at Islamic texts or Jewish texts or Hindu texts and vice versa. If you're a Muslim, there's nothing wrong with reading the Bible and going through all of that. It's all knowledge, and you shouldn't box yourself in. It's just all there for you to learn and to get a better grasp of what's going on, so yeah, definitely. It is cool though, hearing the perspective from different cultures and different religions, and then you start to point out, you start to see these commonalities, and it's like, oh wow,
big time, man. In Islam, similar things are believed regarding the cave of Al-Kahf. And the tale tells about a group of young people who in 250 AD tried to escape persecution and retreated under God's guidance to a cave where God put them to sleep. They woke up 309 years later.
Wow, it almost sounded like they were put into a
stasis, like cryogenics. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just put in stasis and then woke up.
Or into a cave, interdimensional. Almost interterrestrial. Maybe that moves at different times, dude.
Maybe. I mean,
closer you get to the core. They say the further you head away from the planet, the more time gets messed up for you. What about when you go down below? When you head to the center?
Could this cave have been the entrance to a natural vortex, natural portal that teleported them?
Well, think of old Nostradamus. Where did he do his scrying? In a pesky cave. Where did Da Vinci go and go missing for a couple of years? He took a wander into a cave. He came back with all this kind of ideas of submarines and flying machines and hey, Da Vinci, you're like a couple of 100 years ahead of your time, pal. But one day these will all come in good. I've seen it in the cave.
Hey, we all know it's just common for people to wander off in caves and then come back with,
Missing
knowledge
411. Da Vinci was a missing 411.
He was a missing 411 that managed to come back.
He's got the story, man. Yeah. And you see, many people are coming back from a missing 411 incident, bamboozled at the secrets they've opened up to the universe. Maybe their heads are expanded open to the point where they don't want to be found by nobody. Leave me alone. But anyway, I digress. I really need to get into fictional writing, man. There's a lot of sci-fi stuff going on. My old pal. My equally racist friend, Eric Von Donigan. Eric, how we triggered a moron over on Twitter, my friend. I white knighted for Eric, though. I went in there and I protected. I simped for Eric Von Donigan, man.
That's fine. That's fine. It had to be. Look, come on. How ridiculous is that? That someone that we've reached a point to where they're picking on Eric Von Donigan, and trying to pull the whole social justice thing on him.
Using aliens as a guise for his systemic racism that he shows,
I wasn't.
I know you can't make this stuff up. I know, Scott. I know.
I wasn't aware that a guy with such a fantastic accent as Eric Von Daniken was.
Who knew? Who knew, dude? Who knew? Eh? All those revelations about the Nazca lines and Mesopotamia, and all the while, man, just like a Nazi. Yeah, that's what he was. So it says. Eric Von Doniken, that is proof of time travel in the Bible. In the Bible, the prophet Jeremiah was sitting together. I'm not bad at Eric Von Doniken, by the way, with a few of his friends. There was a young boy, and his name was Abimelech. That sounds like somebody you'd meet up in the Highlands of Scotland. And Jeremiah said to Abimelech, "Go out of Jerusalem, there's a hill, and collect some figs for us." The boy went out and he collected some fresh figs. All of a sudden, Abimelech hears some noise in the wind and a wind in the air, and he becomes unconscious. He had a blackout. So after a time, he wakes up again, and he saw it was nearly evening. So when he ran back to the city, he saw it was full of strange soldiers, and he asked, "What's going on here? Where's Jeremiah and all the others?" And the old man told him, "That was 62 years ago." It's a time travel story written in the Bible. There you go, dude. There's a lot of stories in the Bible that are like science fiction. They truly are. When you think about it, dude. You've got burning bushes and bushes that talk to people, and you got like thunderbolts and lightning and commandments coming down on mountains, and Ezekiel's wheel. You've got the whole Enoch thing. I know they pulled him out the Bible and things, but I still give him his rightful place. I don't care what King James done to him. But there's some real good woo in there, dude.
Yeah, the Bible is some wild reading.
Yep.
I mean, really, if you really boil it down, I mean, there is stuff that goes on in the Bible that's like, whoa.
Yep.
It's like, whoa, Yeah, I don't know, man. Like the giant thing and the Nephilim, and I mean, there's so much stuff.
You still try to get over my Eric Von Doniken impersonation, aren't you, Scott? Says here, as per Buddhism, it is written in their text in the heaven of the 30 devas. Damn, that's a place I want to be, man. Even two divas would do me. The place of the gods. Time passes at a different speed, where 100 Earth years count as a single day for them. And there are many more references. This could explain why Joe, or in his ancestral form Noah, lived to like ripe old ages of a couple of 100 years and things, Scott. We're thinking it's years our time, but maybe they're experiencing years differently and things are all weird and wacky, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of this stuff has to do with them referencing their age in terms of where they're from, as in not of this place.
Not when they're from, where they're from. I like that, dude. I like it.
Yeah, see? So when the dude's like, hey, I'm 900 years old, or whatever, he would probably just be an, you know.
You've really kicked the ass clean out of it. I think even Methuselah only got to about 500, man, and he's like Methuselah, right? Maybe he got more than that. I've got absolutely no idea, dude. I've got no idea. There'll be biblical scholars out there now spinning in their chairs. Got that baker, heathen, blasphemous.
And this is just another thing where it just seems like the time operates differently in these other realms.
And Freaky Friday, it operates kind of differently here as well. Sometimes it goes really quick, other times really slow. I know it's the same sound effect, but you got to use your discernment to figure out what's going on there. Scientific research regarding time travel. So the well-known story of accidental time travel is the Philadelphia experiment. Oh my word. Dude, you couldn't make that stuff up, eh? Didn't talk about it for months, maybe years, now twice in 2 weeks. And I don't know if it's accidental time travel. I think that was a very deliberate experiment, even if they didn't know what they were messing with, Scott. You know, I think they might have been going for cloaking, but they didn't quite appreciate the power of ripping space and time and rearranging the furniture, you know?
It was accidental in the sense of the consequences of what they did were not foreseen. You know, they were hoping to just kind of do a little bit of
just the tip,
just a little bit of cloaking, a little bit of invisibility,
a little bit of our mist, Scotty, a little bit of our mist, you know,
not a oops, we completely phased out of reality and then phased back in with people embedded in the bulkhead and whatnot. That probably wasn't their plan. I'm
still
just saying.
One of my favorite. I think when I think back to some of the first times I heard these stories, I think it was Al Bielek on Coast to Coast. I think that's the name of the dude. And I remember it at work, like vividly, Scott, because I had to like almost like, hang on a minute. And it was like back in a time where you had to download them from a torrent site, put them onto your phone. Wasn't quite smartphone time. And I just remember, like, hang on, I'm on patrol here. I need to pause that. And my whole day, dude. Like, I went in on lunchtime, I had to re-listen to it. I'm thinking, holy hell, how can anyone in the world go back to normal knowing that this happened? And it was back in the 40s. What's going on? Yep, time traveling, crazy ships, ghost ships where people are here, they're not here. What a story, dude. So it says then, now that I've got all excited and that.
Yes.
The incident allegedly happened, because we don't know if it was this timeline or not, with the objective of cloaking a ship and taking it off the radar of the enemies. However, it is believed that the experiment went terribly wrong. It depends on what the true purpose was. And the ship not only disappeared completely from Philadelphia, but it was teleported to Norfolk and went back in time for 10 seconds. When the ship came into sight again, a few crew members were physically fused to the bulkheads. Others developed mental disorders, and a few of them vanished completely. And some reported traveling into the future and back. Allegedly, Nikola Tesla, who was the director of engineering and research at Radio Company of America at the time, was involved in the experiment. Now, I've always heard that Tesla turned round one day, I'm probably adding for dramatic effect here, Scott, but He just said, nah, you lot, you've all lost your bloody mind. Yous are off your heads. He says, you don't know what you're messing about with Einstein. Oh, look at yous all. You think you're doing this? Yous have got no clue. You're messing with the ether. You're messing with things that dangerous, no go, bad juju. And he walked away. Now, I don't know if the story went like that or not, but it'd be nice to think it did.
I'm sure, you know, Tesla was probably like, you're toying with some stuff that you're gonna regret it. You know, I'm not gonna be involved in this. But you know, I mean, the plans for his Tesla coils and stuff are already out. I mean, everybody knew how to make
Well, that's what I heard, Scott. I heard it was almost like a Tesla coil around the hull of the ship.
That's what I heard, is that they lined the ship with, like, I don't know how many.
Electromagnet, wasn't it?
Yeah, they basically surrounded the ship in Tesla coils and whatever they were trying to do. And to me, what
big time.
What it sounds like to me is that they created some kind of a toroidal field around the ship, and the center of that toroidal field is where that ship was blipped through. And
Watching, I mean, we're going back to the 40s here, right? And program on Netflix, Polish. It's got English language dubbed over the top of it. It's called Signs. It's actually really weird. It's my kind of program. It's weird. It's wacky. But in that, there's like a mine in Poland, and I don't want to give too much away in there, but we're dealing with like the Wunderwaffen, you know, not the bell, but definitely technology, Scott, that back in the 40s, you would have to have said that this was alien tech. You know, you're talking anti-grav, you're talking that kind of stuff associated with the bell. But this TV show, I don't know how accurate it is, but in that they've got the plans for this, call it what it is, it's a saucer-shaped craft. And it's what the bad guys in World War II were working on. And I actually think there's something to that. I do.
Yeah, they were working on a lot of high technology, I would say. A lot of, you know, wonder weapons and...
A Wunderwaffen.
Yeah. Wonder weapon. Yeah, they were working on all of that stuff. And then you tie in the special group that was tasked with trying to collect artifacts around the world. And
I heard, I don't know if you've heard this as well, but when they went to the Himalayas, and they were looking for like some of the Hindu ancient tech and stuff like that. One of the stories I've heard, not once but twice, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I've seen it before. You see almost like doorways carved into the hillside, into the mountain. Weird, because it doesn't go anywhere, right? But I'd heard that they'd found one over there, and the locals, the people said this was like a Stargate, you know? You would walk into that, you could travel the other way. And that story I'd heard twice. Again, it might be absolute bunk, but it said they basically took that apart. And that was one of the things they basically took back on their travels, you know? And again, with what they were after, why not? If they found something like that and anecdotal evidence suggested this was like a doorway for the gods, you better believe they probably took that back and got it wired up with all sorts, right?
And how many of those ancient artifacts, or, you know, I would go as far as to say ancient high technology. I'll put it that way.
Yep.
How much of that do you think found its way here during Paperclip?
Lots. And some would have gone to Russia as well, I would imagine.
So here's another thing that I've also kind of thought about. Like, we liked, I know a lot of people kind of like to attribute a lot of our technological advancement to Roswell, right? But what if a lot of it was this ancient high tech that found its way over here from the bad guys in World War II as well? I mean, Roswell could have played a role in it, but maybe we kind of reverse engineered a lot of these artifacts that were found from these ancient,
Big
maybe
time, dude. I've
evolution.
heard they had the bomb maybe a year before we did. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But
Oh, I'm sure they did.
yeah,
They
same here.
probably
They were trying to use the heavy water. They were enriching stuff, you know.
But yeah, I mean, we'll never really know how far they really got with all of that and what they really found. That's the interesting thing.
We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere. It's kind of weird though how at that time as well, you had the whole kind of the testing of the bombs. I think we had the 75th anniversary of Hiroshima this week. You had was it Oppenheimer? Was it that said become death, the destroyer of worlds? You've also become the creator of ones if you're going down the Shiva road. But isn't it interesting, Scott, that a time of war, which I would have to imagine sends ripples out dimensionally, energetically. Both sides had narrowed down on such similar technology that both basically achieved similar, the same thing of ripping the veil. And I don't know, dude, there's something weird about that. There's something weird, and we know that you've got this kind of anomalous statistic where so much UFO stuff is seen at nuclear sites, nuclear power stations. I don't know, man. It's
Look, the thing is I don't even think we understand what happens at the exact point of fission in a nuclear blast, at a quantum level. That much energy being released, you're literally converting mass into energy, splitting atoms and all of that. At that particular point, the very center of a nuclear explosion, do we really know what it's doing to space and time and everything at a quantum level at that point?
And think of what we were saying earlier though, about Steve Jobs and a lot of our technology today, achieved by divination, for lack of a better term. What entities were giving us and the bad guys in World War II, what entities were influencing us both to create this device that would rip open space and time?
The real?
And as our technology is doing what now? We've got all like other ways of, ripping veils and opening portals, and you can't get away from the fact that CERN, the Center for Research in Nuclear, it went from like modeling the size of bombs and why such precision about the size of a bomb? Big bomb, we know what it's going to do. And then it turns into this place where they're opening the veil on a more quantum, subatomic level. That's weird, woo. That's like some glitch in the Matrix in itself, man.
Another thing I found really interesting is that, so they found this German U-boat that was sunk. And it was carrying a clandestine it was on a secret mission, basically, to carry a bunch of, I would say, technological.
I thought you were going to say dolphin men hybrids or something.
Technological secrets to Japan. At the end of the war, when the bad guys knew that
Did they get the treasure trove? Did they get the book with all of the toys? Whoa.
Well, I mean, I know we're about to go back. I'll talk about it when we get back because I find it very interesting, and I don't.
I'm finding all of tonight very interesting, Scott. I
Yes,
must admit, this has been a very wide spanning conversation on many topics.
yes, yes, indeed.
Here we go, folks. Here we go.
How dare you?
Yes, we do dare. We dare to go into hour number 3 right here on your Freaky Friday. Can you handle our deep woo tonight? Damn, we're getting into some really good stuff here, myself and Scotty Lopez. We continued talking during the break, you know, technology. We've been talking ancient technology, Stargate type stuff earlier on. We got to the bad guys in World War II with the Philadelphia experiment. We got the veil being ripped open with bad guy weapons, our weapons. And Scotty Lopez, he's going to throw into the mix now what happened to some of that information that didn't come to America and the UK with paperclip. Whatever the Russian equivalent of paperclip was, Das Paperclippy, I don't know, Klipsky. But I know I'm totally inappropriate. But then we have your story, Scott, about the Japanese. What's going on there?
I'm not sure the name of the specific U-boat, but there was a German U-boat that was sent on a secret mission to go give some technological secrets to the Japanese in a last-ditch effort. And apparently, there was a problem with there was a mechanical issue with the U-boat, and it had to turn around and was trying to get back to a safe port or whatever, and the British intercepted it and sunk it. I believe this may be off the coast of Norway or somewhere up there in the northern Atlantic. It didn't make it very far. It didn't make it to Japan. But they found this U-boat, I believe, in 2003. And when they went down there and inspected it, they found that it was carrying quite a few tons of mercury. And I was like, secret technological secrets, a bunch of mercury. Then you start thinking about Der Glock and what may have been powering that thing. And I'm like, oh, were they trying to get some of the Bell technology and secrets to Japan in order for them to work on that technology? I found it interesting because why tons of mercury? Of all of the things that you would be shipping, to your ally, I guess, in the war or whatever, why a bunch of mercury? And the thing is because right now there's a whole issue with this U-boat because they're concerned about it polluting, that this mercury is going to eventually, as the containers and stuff degrade and rust out, it's going to create a environmental catastrophe. But that was the first thing that popped in my. I'm like, well, why is this thing taking a bunch of mercury to Japan?
I'm with you, dude. I am, and all of the kind of lore around the Bell spinning red mercury comes to mind. Counter rotating, almost sounds very much like that counter rotation that you've got within the pipes at CERN. It's almost quantum. You think about it one way, you've got charge flowing one way and charge flowing another way, potentially. If you can get some superconductivity into that mercury there. Hell, dude, I think I'm pulling this out of the ether. Some alien's putting this into my head, right? But no, that works because even like the rings, the qubits on the D-wave, it's just charge going different ways at once. Shouldn't be happening. Quantum, superstate, ones and zeros. So is it almost like a scaled up qubit? You know, that superconductivity, Scott, that may take place when you've got flowing metal anyway. That almost defies our standard model of physics and things. Metals that flow, the brain doesn't like going there, right? And then you think about this as well. Chinese emperors, where they've been found. You know, you got the terracotta army, everyone's seen all that, but little known is the fact that usually they've got the Yangtze River, the Yangtze River. It's like a full kind of model laid out in like one of their palaces in the river. It's got the liquid mercury that flows in that. Now people say that's just decorative. Okay, then that's cool. Let's go over to Mesoamerican temples. Remember the story we done a few years ago? We're underneath the temple. Holy hell, folks! Look what we found. What have you found? We found like vast amounts of red mercury stored under a pyramid over in South America. I think the Nazis hadn't like created anything with the mercury spinning. I think that was part of the knowledge that they got back.
I think so.
Yeah, when they were out doing their travels.
I think it was something they stumbled across when they were looking for their artifacts and knowledge as well. They weren't just looking for artifacts, they were looking for texts and all of that stuff. And maybe they found the blueprint to something.
I mean, you got to remember that it's literally like something out of a Marvel movie, folks. We all know about the evil, the violence at the war machine that they had. And listen, all armies, all wars are violent. But they were driven by like supernatural kind of forces. I mean, that's the bit I think people forget. A lot of the information that even led to the ideology came from channeling. It came from that vril that you're talking about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the average person realizes how much of...
Like David Koреш's Waco cult at the top, dude. That's what they were, crackpots. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, how obsessed they were with the occult and occult knowledge and ancient artifacts and
the ruins, the Nordic ruins for their symbols on their uniforms, the use of symbols, you know?
They were really, really driven by that stuff, like at their very core. And so, I mean, it makes you wonder, man.
Because
it really
great power comes from it, Scott, and they knew that. They absolutely harnessed it. I think that's what led to them probably being as successful as they were.
That's what I was going to say. Look how powerful they ended up becoming, before it took basically the entire world to take them down. So they were channeling something.
But that same force, Scott, come on, dude, you have to admit, if there's any like interdimensional force that the power elite on the planet are into right now, it seems pretty similar to the ones that those bad dudes were into as well. I'm just saying.
Hey, Kev, you can always take something and repackage it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can always put a new logo on an old product.
You're right. I was just looking where we were in our story there. Here we go. Our ancient time travel. So, another great case report of scientist Pellegrino Ernetti, who claimed that in 1960 he built a machine called...
Oh, yes! It's the
chronovisor. Oh, dude. Enabling a person to see into the past. He asserted that anything that happens leaves behind an energy mark that can never be destroyed. Somewhat similar to the mystical Akashic records So he allegedly developed this machine that could detect, magnify, and convert the energy into an image, like a past incident being displayed on a device. There are descriptions of another controversial experiment which took place in the 1980s called the Montauk Project, which again allegedly conducted scientific experiments with time travel, among other things. Never forget, folks, that Stranger Things, that phenomenal multi-series show from Netflix, the the Duffer Brothers? Is that the name of them, Scott? What's the name of the ones behind Stranger Things, dude?
I don't know.
I think it is, but that was the original thing. It was like to be based on Montauk. That was like the facility. They changed it obviously to what it was. Trying to think of the name. Hawkins. I think that's where it's set now. The show. But yeah, that was loosely based on what was going on at Montauk. It says whether the Philadelphia and Montauk experiments actually happened or not is still under debate. I think something happened at Montauk, Scotty. I think there's been a whole lot of bells and whistles and looking glasses and weird stuff added along the way. But I keep an open mind, because if they possibly had chronovisors back in the 60s, then you can guarantee that in some black project somewhere, some Department of Energy base that nobody's looking at, they were strapping people into the Montauk chair and probably trying to do the kind of stuff that we're talking about here most weeks on the show.
Well, Kev, I mean, I you know what? We'll solve this problem. We'll get to the answer. I actually have my own chronovisor, and so if I throw it on, I'll check it out here.
I've spoke to a man who's used the chronovisor, allegedly. Yes. Yeah.
Well, you know what? From what I'm seeing, I'm peering deep into it right now. Yeah, definitely some shady stuff going on at Montauk.
I
No
like
doubt.
it, dude. I like it, man. That's better than the web, but that thing. So it says here, coming to 2004, we have Marlon Pullman, scientist and an engineer, for a patent for a method of gravity distortion and time displacement. In 2013, Wasfi Al-Shaidafat, hey, proper, we'll just call you Big Wasfi. Big Wah. Wah. Filed a patent for a space compression and time dilation machine that can be used for time traveling. How does that go when you go to the patent office, Scott? When you crack open your like plans for literally a flux capacitor, you know? What does the person in the like patent office do? Get the glasses on. Yep, you got that. Yep, absolutely. Looks like it's going to be in perfect working order. What the hell am I looking at here? You know? Some kind of buffool telling me they've got a working time machine? Stamp, whatever. 060606. No. Oh, you see how I've done that when you like that one too?
Yes.
Yeah. So then, it goes on to say in here, it doesn't laugh like that, but Ronald Lawrence Mallet. Oh, I like this dude. This is the boy that's trying to get back to see his dad in it. Professor of Physics at the University of Connecticut, is working and conducting research on the concept of time travel based on Einstein's theory of relativity. He is strongly convinced that time traveling is achievable and will be possible in the near future. Brian Cox, BBC sellout. Particle physicist, is convinced that traveling in time is possible, but only in one direction. Ali Raziki, managing director at the Iranian Center for Strategic Inventions, whose story disappeared from the internet a few hours after it was published, claimed that he made a device that can see anywhere from 3 to 5 years in the future. Theoretically, time travel is feasible even if it's difficult to understand. Are we close towards making time travel a reality. Only time will tell. Big data allows time travel, really. It can look into the future, albeit digitally. Theoretically, yeah, we've got that bit. One bit, here it is. Let me know. All right, just wanting our views. We're giving you our views article. I think we've been quite good views.
Remember that everybody used to call Jones crazy when he would talk about Google crystal ball technology?
Yep. Yep.
You know, years and years ago.
Yep. You know me, dude. I'm still an avid supporter of the Jonesy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
oh,
you
he
know,
was right. So many things he was right.
That used to be stuff he talked about way back in the day. You know, Google gonna have their crystal ball technology. They can see into the future.
They literally do, dude. They were literally one of the first queuing up at the door of D-Wave when that crap was getting built. They were probably banging it down. They're like, that's the machine we need. Right.
They could look into the future and see how to steer social movements and nudge everybody in the direction that they want to go.
Dude, I honestly think that's why the world is getting exceedingly more weird than even me as a lover of the weird can handle. I'm just saying. Could be wrong. I don't know.
It's because it's almost like it's because our progression, or you know, the way we're going is not a natural progression. It's not taking the natural flow that it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. It's being manipulated and nudged in different ways, and then it's creating a bizarre outcome. A land of the surreal. It's almost like we're living inside of a Dali painting right now, man.
Ah, Scott, I knew you were going to say that. Oh, man.
See?
We're going to move into the Dali reality. Oh, there's a name for a show, man. Love it. Digital Dali reality. Oh, liking it. That could be the name from a book. Out of place objects, proof of time travel. Now, there is one YouTube channel out there that will absolutely tell you they've got...
I was about to say, Kev.
Don't trigger me, Scott. They're Australian. That's one good thing they've got going for them. Apart from that, I tend to think that most time travelers don't turn up there.
I'm surprised said channel hadn't come up yet.
Try not to mention them because they trigger me. They really trigger me. They anger me. A, they anger me because they quite obviously fake all their time travelers. And B, they anger me if it's true, because why is the time traveler going to their crap channel, not coming to mine? Granted, I don't have a time machine in the corner, but they can bring me one. I'd do a better job of interviewing them than that mob. Just saying. Well, not that I'm better about the time travelers going there or anything, you know?
We all know that the first order of business for every time traveler is to go and contact said YouTube channel.
Yep. They dial into our reality. Australia, here we come.
If they don't do that, then they're breaking the first directive of time travel.
Do you reckon that there's got to be protocols? It's like the dreaming earlier, dude. There's like established protocols for that crap. I know it. I can't tell you. I'd have to, remove you from the timeline. Stacey. It was an American naturalist. I thought it said naturist there. I was going to say, oh, hey, we've got naked archaeologists. So, and cryptozoologist Ivan T. Sanderson, who invented the acronym OOPART. That's OOPART, which stands for Out of Place Artifact.
Ooh, I love these out of place artifacts.
Get your OOPARTs out, Scott. Any interesting OOPARTs to show me today, man?
I'm assuming, I'm assuming, and we'll find out in this article, but I'm assuming they're talking about like the strange titanium spheres that are like perfectly machined and all of that found in rocks that are like millions and millions of years old.
Probably one of those Apple iPhones that was found, 5,000 years ago or something. I don't know what's going to be coming here, dude. These are objects of historical, archaeological, or paleontological interest that have been found in a very unusual place, are judged to be too advanced for their time, or that demonstrate the presence of humans before they were known to exist. The acronym is rarely used by historians or anyone, and is mostly confined to the terminology of cryptozoologists, advocates of ancient astronaut theories, and paranormal supporters. I can tell you in all my travels of the woo, this is a new one on me, the oop art. I like it though, I do like it.
Oopart.
So, detectors, no, not detectors, detractors. You know what I'm saying? I can get Mahabharata right, and I can't even get detractor. What's that all about? Detractor, man. So the detractors argue that some authors, is that what you call like a agricultural equipment in Jamaica? Detractor, man. Oh, yes, indeedy.
Oh.
So detractors, not farming equipment, argue that some authors use questionable methods to interpret artifacts. They believe that oop arts that have not proven to be out and out hoaxes are the outcome of either mistaken interpretations or an assumption that a particular culture couldn't have created an artifact or technology due to its lack of knowledge or materials. However, a few alleged oop arts are arguably unusual within the scientific mainstream, although not impossible for their time. Supporters of alternative theories regard oop art as a sign that conventional science is overlooking important areas of knowledge, either willfully or out of ignorance. One, or often, scholars who question orthodox views of human history have used oop art in an effort to reinforce their hypotheses. Creation science, for example, relies on irregular finds in archaeological records to challenge scientific models of human evolution. And oop art has been used to support sacred views of history, ancient astronaut theories, and the belief in extinct empires that had a more advanced knowledge or technology than we have today.
Mm. Yes.
Just because people use it to back up their claims, Scott, doesn't necessarily mean that they're making it up or it's not true. Because this article almost makes it sound like inevitably the scientific community, they'll turn their nose up at this kind of thing, right? This will be pseudoscience, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the classic battle between alternative viewpoints and the established mainstream scientific community and archaeological community, right? The mainstream versus the more quote unquote fringe theories.
I like the fringe.
But I like the fringe. That's where we that we are the fringe, my friend. So
I like that, Scott. I like that.
Mhm.
We are the fringe. Anyway, it says an example of an object that could fit into the category of oop art is the main penny, an 11th century Norse coin found at the Goddard Dig, a prehistoric archaeological site in Brooklyn, Maine, on Blue Hill Peninsula. The coin is supposedly evidence of interaction between Vikings and Native Americans in Maine. The common belief is that it was brought to Maine from Labrador or Newfoundland through a northern native trade system. In a 15-year period, more than 20,000 artifacts have been discovered, and the Norse coin was the only object found that was not indigenous. Another example of oop art is the Baghdad battery. Now, this object, made in Persia, consists of a vase and rods. It may have been used as a galvanic cell for electroplating, Yet no other electroplated artifacts from this era have been found. It doesn't mean they don't exist, though. The King Goody artifact is an item that resembles a corroded nail and was supposedly embedded in solid rock. A terracotta offering head of a Roman appearance was discovered below 3 intact floors of a pre-Columbian internment site in Mexico and was dated between 1476 and 1510. So the artifact has been found to be older, and an ancient Roman background may be possible. The Dorchester pot, is a metal pot rumoured to have been discovered or recovered in 1852 from solid rock at Meeting House Hill in Massachusetts. Young Earth creationists who oppose scientific theories of evolution regard the Dorchester pot as having been created by an ancient civilization that predated the Noachian flood from the biblical account of Noah's Ark, but had been made using far more advanced equipment than we presently allow for that period. Oh, join us on the other side. One more segment to go on this.
Nice.
Your Freaky Friday. Don't go anywhere. Oh, dang, dude. This is, what a show. What a show, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man.
You know that way sometimes, Scott, when you're putting the links together, you can kind of get a gauge for, this has got good potential here, the topics, man. Oh, I had no idea. No idea.
This ties back into the artifacts that we were talking about that, you know.
I'm going to go and get myself coffee again real quick, so I'm going to put on the tunes.
Cool.
Yep, I'll be 1 minute, dude. Folks, we'll be back in a little second. Don't go anywhere. Anne Craney in the chat room.
I was just about to say, Kev, the boss has entered the chat and she's busting your chops, dude.
Nah, I've had enough. Does anyone want a podcaster? I'm offering myself. I'm actually giving myself away. What other podcaster do you know gives himself away as the prize? I get abused here, folks. I do. listen to her cackling in the background, man. It's not fun being me. You know, Scott, she might enjoy it, but it's not been fun for me years ago, man. Telling you, dude. One of these times I'm going to tell you all what I go through. Yeah, that's not easy. It's not easy. So if you want to rescue a baker, podcasters matter too.
Podcasters.
You'll be doing Anne a favour. Welcome back. Final segment of the show. We're having a prize giveaway today. Yeah, to one lucky listener out there, you can win yourself a brand new, well, couple of previous owners, Kev Baker. Yes, I'm going to give myself away. Bad enough, Scott. I'm just giving myself away.
Jeez.
Damn, dude, she comes in, she absolutely lays down the hammer on my my graphical non-prowess, according to Anne. Yeah, I go to her looking for a bit of validation, looking for a bit of dopamine, you know? Anne, look how cool I am, look at my graphics. Shite.
She knows better.
That's what she says, dude. That's what she's like, shite.
She knows better than to give you that dopamine squirt, Kev.
That's all I'm after. It's like a dog wants his belly tickled. I just want a wee bit of dopamine. I just want to nod and kind of pretend that she acknowledges what I'm doing. That's all. I'm not high maintenance, man. I'm easy going. So anyway, right. I don't know how we got there, but we did. Let's get back to our out of time, our oop art, Scotty, our oop art. Can we just call them like?
It's a good thing they didn't add an extra P in front of that. That would not sound very good.
Would it be fairer to call this like Doctor Who's missing items list? He like dropped them out the TARDIS on his magical travels.
I don't know why they would just call it why they call it oop art instead of just calling them anomalous artifacts.
Woo. They're just woo, man. That's all they are.
Wooifacts, I guess.
I tell you, dude, the woo is it's multi-purpose, the woo. Like a very woke word. Covers a whole plethora of topics, Scotty. Very inclusive, very diverse. So then, look at this. The headline of this paragraph, folks, is continues below. Immediately below that, it continues, funnily enough.
Oh, okay.
So some controversial items are the Baalbek megaliths, oh, you better believe it, which could not have been moved with Bronze Age know-how, and the Dandera lamps made of Ptolemaic, in Ptolemaic, Egypt. I think I got that right. That supposedly prove the existence of light bulbs long before Tesla or Edison lived. Crop circles, which would seem impossible to create without an aerial viewpoint. Another example, Eric von Däniken, the Swiss author of the controversial best-selling Chariots of the Gods, who knew it was a manifesto, claims that the sarcophagus lid of the Mayan king Kinich Janab Pakal I don't know, is a representation of a spaceship. Now that's that famous one where the guy looks like he's sitting kind of upside down and all cramped up. Looks like he's got his hand on a lever. The only way you can look at that is that he's in a machine, Scott, right?
And then remember our boy Giorgio posted the SpaceX Dragon crew picture next to that picture, and it was like, oh man, it was so uncanny. Yeah.
Just gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna post that over at TFR Live. Stand by over there. I'm gonna post this in there. That picture is again. Would I have seen it without it being pointed out to me? Yeah, I would have. That looks like a dude working a machine.
Yeah, because somebody looked at that thing and was like, that looks like a guy in a machine.
He's
you know,
sitting on a seat. You know, he's got his seat there. He's got his feet on pedals. It looks like he's like, when you see it close up, actually looks like he's breathing. through this contraption. It goes into his nose, like into his nostrils or something, man. It's like he's getting oxygen from it.
Yeah, it's so crazy, dude.
And again, like Scott says, go and look at the Dragon capsule. Go and look at the old, the dad astronauts that were... Did you see them coming back and splashing down, Scotty? Did you see that?
Oh, yes.
Pretty cool,
That was really
man.
cool.
Very cool, yeah. But, yeah. This is a pretty cool story, by the way. Other out-of-place artifacts examples are the Piri Reis map, an ancient map discovered in 1929 that was drawn on gazelle skin and showed part of the Western world. Graham Hancock, legend. Absolute legend. Yep.
Yes.
Archaeological fiction, the fingerprints of the gods, claims the map, assembled by the Turkish Admiral Piri Reis, depicts Antarctica at a time before the discovery of the continent. We'll never don't forget either the Dogon people, who worship and celebrate the orbit of Sirius A, B, long before we'd ever found it with a telescope. These things happen. Golden figures made by the Kumbaye civilization in Colombia culture supposedly represent modern airplanes, but the Gold Museum in Bogota describes them as figures of birds and insects. Now, Scott, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I've seen...
I've never seen a bird or an insect with a vertical stabilizer. Just saying.
Same here. And have you ever seen the Ancient Aliens where they get the guy to make the model of it, and it actually is, it's aerodynamic and it flies?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's dynamic. They just made a scaled up model of it.
Do you think, Scott, if we ever get one of our little pins off Giorgio, our little ancient alien pin, can we give up then? Can we, like, just hang up the mics, make the mics drop noise, and just leave the building at that point if we get Giorgio on?
Yeah, I'd be like, we've done it.
Come on, dude, he was on with Jimmy Church just the other night. If Jimmy Church can get him, we're bigger than Jimmy Church, in my own mind. Giorgio,
Hey.
if you're out there, man, come on, dude. You ain't real till you've done Freaky Friday. That's all I'm saying, man. And you think you've got a hairdo? Ah, Giorgio, you got none on me, man. So anyway, let's get back into this here. That's the dream, folks. We could get Giorgio. You know, think it, and they will come. So then, small humans and animal figurines. Shackle Dougal. Absolutely butchered that. Found in 1887 at the Kamigako ruins of Japan, were made in the late Jomon period, and that's 1400 to 400 BC, and are interpreted as representations of extraterrestrial astronauts. Some out-of-place artifacts are objects that have merely been dated incorrectly. In February 1971, amateur rock hounds Wallace Lane, Virginia Maxey, and Mike Mikesell, what a name, were out looking for geodes near Olancha, California, when they found the Coso artifact, a rock that was mistakenly dated at 500,000 years old. Inside the rock was a cylinder of what appeared to be porcelain, with a 2mm shaft of metal in its centre. And further research indicated that it was a 1920s spark plug in an old detritus rock. Now, Scott, come on, is that just like a good way of, like, throwing people off the scent of something that is just unexplainable?
Yeah, I think you see a lot of that where there's like, okay, there's no way we can explain this.
And on the flip side, we both probably appreciate that, yeah, absolutely some things are misstated, right?
Yeah, I mean that definitely occurs as well, to where, you know, just there was a mistake in the dating or something like that, and it turns out to be much more mundane than it really was. But I think there are instances where some of this stuff is genuinely unexplainable, and the scientific community has to try and kind of come up with a clever excuse because there's no way that they can explain it.
Yeah, I'm with you there, dude. Another
Mhm.
artifact in question is the Malachite man, assumed to be from the early Cretaceous period. It was, in reality, a post-Columbian burial. Crystal skulls, Scotty, allegedly show more advanced stone-cutting skill that was achieved in pre-Columbian South America, but on further investigation, the find appears to have been made in the 19th century. Now, oh, come on. There's a lot
Come
of fake
on.
ones. There is a lot of fake ones, but does that take away from the council of the 13 crystal skulls? And when you get them all around that table, dude, whoa. Booga booga.
And there are crystal skulls that can't be explained. You know, not every single crystal skull has been proven to be from the 19th century. There are other crystal skulls that are dated back.
Imagine that's
Well,
what's under Oak Island, Scott. Imagine that's what's down at the bottom of Oak Island. Big crystal skull. Oh, man.
maybe. But yeah, I mean, some of these are super, super old, and there would have been no way, at least with mainstream thought, that that they could carve those unless they had some kind of a high technology, or that they were far more advanced than what we're being told.
What do you mean they carved them? That came out the alien's head. I'm
Dude,
only joking, folks. But
what if it legit was an alien skull and that their bone structure is crystalline?
why not? And what if?
I mean-
What if there is actually Crystal Skull at Oak Island? Sounds ridiculous until you think about the pirates. You know, raiding all those Spanish galleons and things like that. Potentially, they were stealing a heck of a lot of stuff out of South America at one point. I don't know. Just saying. So
Can you imagine?
On you go, dude.
Or- Can you imagine how much information you would be able to access if your skull was actually made of crystal, and your brain was sitting inside the middle of it?
Hang on to the phone, Elon Musk. Musk, how is it? We've got a question for you, Elon. Or as Anne calls him. Anne calls him Eon. It does
Eon?
but it really annoys me. Eon. I think she says it to annoy me now. It's Kev, is that Eon? Is that Eon on the telly? Anytime like I'm watching exactly, Scott. I'm sitting there thinking, nah, I'm not gonna let it trigger me. And she'll keep going, Eon. And some donkey in the corner like, Eon. I don't get it, dude. It's not hard. It's Elon. It's 4 letters. It's not like it's some Mahabharata. You know? It's just Eon. Now I'm doing it. It's Elon. Shut it down. So it says here, Swedish immigrant Olof Oman. I probably would have guessed he had a bit of Nordic in him. A name like Olof. You don't get many Olofs from like Edinburgh. Or Kansas, I imagine. Anyone you go to school with called Olaf, Scotty? No?
No, the only Olaf I know is from that Disney cartoon, or that Disney movie.
Oh, look at you throwing a bloody spanner in the works. Come on, man. That was working so well until you brought that one up. So Big Olaf. He claimed to
Big
Big Olaf. Just a tip. He claimed to have discovered the Kensington Ruin Stone in 1898 in Douglas County, Minnesota. I'm going to hazard a guess if he looked anything like Ragnar Lothbrok. Nobody argued with him when he said he found it. Some believe it was made by the 15th century descendants of Leif Erikson's colony. Today, the Viking ruin is assumed to be a modern-day hoax. Ah, you pesky skeptics. But there are still those who think it's authentic. The stone has been on display in a small museum in Alexandria, Minnesota, for many years. So the Michigan, on you go.
Why is it so hard to believe that the Vikings came here?
Masters of like naval and maritime kind of skills back in the day.
I still can't believe that there are people out there who just completely dismiss that and think that it's ridiculous.
Even if people want to believe like they only found like America because they got lost, they missed Scotland or they missed Iceland on the way over, and okay, but they still got there. Absolutely, they were there, Scotty, big time. I think the Vikings probably a lot more global than, maybe not global, but a lot more widespread than maybe they're given credit for, you know?
Yes, I definitely think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, they were masters. They were a master seafaring group of people. I mean,
Not
they
only
knew
that,
how to.
Scotty, think of this too. We had Max on, you know, Valhalla, all that stuff, the epics. What was it? The Elder Scrolls? What are they telling you? They're telling you nuclear technology, dude. And there's people still doubting if they made it to America. Oh, crack on. If you want to play about in that paradigm, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
You know what? You know what's at the bottom of Oak Island? It's a Viking nuclear reactor.
And a Stargate hooked up to it.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm telling you, dude. Do you ever watch Lost? Do you ever watch Lost, Scotty?
No.
Oh, you need to go back and watch that, dude. Probably one of the best TV experiences ever created. Ever. But there's a dude that lives down in a hole. And the dude, all he does, he's a Scottish dude. Had to be a Scottish dude. They left him down a hole, for goodness sake. He just presses a button. I think it's every 8 hours or something. He has to press a button. If he doesn't press the button, whole world's gone. I think when they get down to the bottom, they're going to find a Scottish dude. He's going to say, I need to keep pressing this damn button, man. You see? J.J. Abrams thought he was making that up, but really he was channeling the Scottish dude at the bottom of Oak Island. You never know. So anyway, it goes on to say here that the Michigan relics, supposedly ancient artifacts, were invented to prove an ancient Near Eastern culture had lived in Michigan, USA. They were discovered to be a hoax, as was the Calveris skull, claimed to belong to the oldest known human being. This item turned out to be a Native American skull, purposely planted during the gold rush. In the world of science, all theories are speculation until proven. Unless you live on the back end of speculation island, my friends. Some theories deserve more attention than others, absolutely. And often, when faced with theories thought to be improbable, it's hard to keep an open mind. No. Always keep the open mind. Not to the point where it turns to black goo and all that. But all research is worthy research if done well. And no one wants to see science reduced to junk science. So the best process is, as always, to test all theories against facts known and able to be demonstrated. Well, isn't that a throwback to like the science of, the early 2000s? Because it's all changed now, Scott. It's all changed now. We're in a different paradigm now, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Dude, we're almost out of time. We've got 8 minutes. What a journey this has been. Hasn't it?
It's been quite the roller coaster of woo and interesting conversation. It was a deep dive.
I've had real good fun, mate. Real good fun. I think to round off our woo today, let me take you back home to the Highlands. Yes.
Yes.
Shut and burping in the background. Pardon you, Anne. Disgusting habit. Elon. Okay then. Anne. I apologise. Don't hit me. So, says here. When strange creatures appear at Loch Ness, but they're not Nessie. I was here. I took Anne up home.
Oh.
Incoming to earlier this week, I wrote an article on the controversy surrounding the phenomenon on of the alien big cats. It was largely focused on the research and investigations of Merrily Harpur, what a name, the author of Mystery Big Cats, a book I definitely recommend to anyone and everyone who has an interest in the ABC phenomenon. As I said in that same article, Merrily suggests that the ABC's alien big cats are very likely daemons. Now, they are supernatural entities that can be malevolent, helpful, manipulative, trickster-like, and even deadly, depending on their type. So what you're saying is then they can be anything. It says eudaimons are generally friendly, while cacodemons should be avoided at all costs. Cacodemons?
Keiko demons.
Okay.
I've heard that term before. Yeah.
Cacodemons, yeah, okay. Lest one wishes to see one's life ruined. Entities that act as intermediaries between the world of man and the domain of the gods. The daemons are shapeshifters that can manifest in multiple forms. Merrily adds, if the ABCs are a variety of native British daemon, they have emerged into a landscape brimful of these intermediate beings. Damn, pixies, gnomes, bogarts. Don't bogart the joint. Herne the hunter, elves, lake monsters, white ladies, worms, and so on. There's another reason why I think the ABC phenomenon is far weirder than many might assume it to be. For example, if it's something indeed to see one strange creature, but what about when there are two very different types of weird beast at one famous location? Loch Ness, Scotland, is home to the Nessies, which I strongly suspect are also supernatural in nature. It's very intriguing to note that alien big cats have been seen around the ancient loch from 2000 to 2001. The area was hit by a series of sightings of a large, unidentified black cats. On May the 2nd, 2000, the Inverness Courier newspaper splashed the first such story across its pages. It was a story that provoked a great deal of anxiety and unease among the locals, which is not surprising, given that the article was titled, Big Cat Sighting Sparks Lambing Time Farm Alert. And as the Courier noted, it was John Cathcart, a wildlife liaison officer with the Northern Constabulary, who brought the matter to everyone's attention and was prompted by sightings of a puma in the area of Ardseer and of numerous sheep found savagely mutilated and passed away. 2 months later, it was Kiltarlity that became the focus of the savage beast, or of another of its kind. 3 sheep were attacked, and locals spoke of seeing a huge panther-like animal prowling the landscape by both day and night. One farmer who was hit hard, was Davy McLean of Bob Laney, who lost 2 lambs and a ewe. The heads of the poor animals were detached from the rest of them, and their skins lay strewn around the site of the attack. Their ribs were gnawed bare, and their legs had been snapped off at the joints. It was a terrifying and traumatic sight for McLean. Now we come to the most amazing part of the story. Alien big cats and lake monsters have turned up at Loch Ness at the very same time. A perfect case in point is an incident that occurred way back in 1658. It's a story that was uncovered by a historian, a genealogist, and expert on Scottish lore and legend named David Murray Rose. He penned such titles as Prince Charlie's Friends and Revenue of the Scottish Crown 1681. Rose commented on the 17th century case of Sir Ewan Cameron, a resident of Lochiel, and who lived from 1629 to 1719. According to Rose, on one particular day, and at the exact time when Cameron battled with wild cats on a stretch of the Loch Ness shoreline, a strange creature was encountered on the loch. Old people said it was a water horse or water kelpie because it had a head that looked like a cross between a horse and a camel, but its mouth was in its throat. The story originated with one Patrick Rose of Rose Hall, Demerara, who also tackled wild cats of Loch Ness, and it was given the account of Sir Ewan Cameron by some of the locals. That Cameron battled wildcats strongly suggests that they were creatures of considerable size and power. Now I'm going to stop there, right, because that freaked me out. This really freaked me out. You'll have heard me, Scott, talking about my relative that had the sighting of Nessie one morning, the mist. He was cycling to work with friends. It wasn't just him, there was multiple people. But I've said to you, it's almost weird. It's hard to even put into words because it was a cross between a horse or a camel with something sat on the back. It's the same as that. It's a camel, dude. It's the same thing they've seen. Kelpies, shapeshifters,
Wow.
Freaky Friday. We're out of here, folks. Damn, dude. That freaked me out when I read that there, because I've never heard. That's why I always, like, even saying it sounds weird. It described it as almost like a camel. And of course, it was like something like a red Indian or like an Indian chief, a Native American, because they described the dude on the horse, the camel, as having like headdress on.
Wow.
I know, and that comes down off the hill, through the mist, crosses the road in front of them, keeps going down the hill and into the water, and just keeps walking until it disappears. And that camel is the first time I've ever had that kind of description anywhere else. Horse, a cross between a horse and a camel.
And that's as it was described back in the 1600s.
Yep.
So obviously this is a very, I would say, a common form that it takes. Possibly.
Aye.
And then you got these wild cats, these giant cats running around out there. And didn't they just have a sighting of a wild cat, and they even had a picture of it, and we're telling people in the Highlands to watch out and all of that stuff? We talked about that not too long ago.
Was fake. Yeah, it turned out one of the pictures that was circulating was fake. Somebody had put a picture up of one. It was like, it almost looked like it was like posing on a park bench. But that picture was faked up. But Scott, growing up that way, never really thought about it because there's pumas, things like that. Big cats are a thing. Big cats are a thing up there.
They're totally a thing, man. Like I've watched quite a few like, you know, unexplained mystery kind of shows and stuff, and that the big black cat phenomena in the UK is a big deal.
Yep.
It's a pretty big deal, man.
You get the
like,
lynx,
wow.
you get the pumas. Yeah. We've even got one half-deadly snake over here called the adder. There you go.
Oh,
You got to watch when it was just outside Fort Augustus in the summer, if you were going up walking on the hill, because it was very rocky. These things were like, oh, dude, they were the masters of like camouflage. You wouldn't see them. And they'd be out sunbathing on the rocks, you know. And that's one of the things I always remember. I was getting told, whoever's mum was with us at the time, be watching out for those snakes. You know what I mean? A couple of times you've seen them. Whoa. That wee guy in Scotland, it looked like a rattler, dude. It was probably no bigger than an earthworm, but it looked like a rattler. No. Big time. But we're out of time.
We've got multiple deadly animals here, but we don't have anything on Australia.
No, they've got that funnel web spider. They've got beasties. The bunyip, dude.
The bunyip.
The bunyip's like growing extra arms and grabby bits. Dude, kangaroos. Good eye, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Kangaroos can talk. In my reality, kangaroos talk to each other. They're all called Bruce or Sheila. But I've had a blast, Scotty. I truly, truly mean that. Always love hanging out with you anyway. But tonight, that was really, really good stuff, man. Awesome.
It was good.
Yep.
Excellent conversation.
Yep. I hope all of you out there enjoyed that. Tori, yep. ZX, John, Marty. Oh, thank you, Marty. We've got BPD Warrior. I think that's Marie. I think that said earlier on. Eli. Oh, there's too many people in there, folks. Thank you all for being here. It really does mean the world to us. And I'll probably take tomorrow off. But you never know. You never know. See how I feel. Got my mojo back now, Scott. So you got to keep in the saddle when you get the mojo back, you know. But no, it's been a blast. And I want to thank you all for being here. Remember to hit the like button. Press the subscribe. And we are through the first hoop that we have to jump through to get our memberships back on. I've had the tiers are approved. Now I need to make emblems. I need to make emojis. Point being, they're on their way back, folks. We're on our way back to that. I know there's been a lot of people asking, but to everyone who's supported us, honestly, you do not know how vital it's always coming in handy. So thank you so, so much. And hopefully we can keep on bringing you banging shows like we had here tonight, because this one has been off the charts. So until next time, I better put on my black goo, because I'm going to say it to you like this. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Look, we've got on black goo!
How dare you?
You like that wee VHS effect there, Scott? You see how kind of, you know, looking good, man. Look at that. It's like we're going back to Stranger Things time, dude.
Very, very good aesthetics you got there, Kev.
You liking that, man? Liking it? Loving it? Loving it?
Yes.